Probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit card.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
So let me be clear. I trust vaccines. I trust scientists. But I don't trust Donald Trump.
One of the problems is the way he's playing with politics. I'm worried if we do have a really good vaccine, people are going to be reluctant to take it.
You're saying don't trust the president. Are you confident that enough Americans will buy in?
Trust the scientists.
People should not be walking around with masks.
But some sort of mask-like facial covering should be a very regular part of how we prevent the spread of infection.
Who do you trust?
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
But we certainly have seen very active efforts by the Russians to influence our election in 2020, primarily to denigrate Vice President Biden.
We don't need their help.
I'm not the president. Not at all.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
This is from Senator Ed Markey. We must disarm these officers and every other police department in America of weapons of war and enact a nationwide ban on tear gas, rubber and plastic bullets, and beanbag rounds.
When are we going to start talking about disarming criminals? Everyone always says one thing. These were peaceful protesters. So I guess when you're throwing Molotov cocktails, railroad spikes, other projectiles, you're using green lasers, I guess that constitutes being peaceful.
Unchained and unstoppable.
These so-called Black Lives Matter people, now that as a proposition, who can quarrel with the proposition Black Lives Matter? But they're not interested in black lives. They're interested in props.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
You know, that was the police chief of Detroit responding to Ed Markey's ridiculous statements on his tweet on Monday. I can't believe that it's gotten more traction nationally than it has in Massachusetts. It's crazy that he gets away with saying something like that. He wants to ban the use of tear gas. And again, does he want to go back to the good old days? Live ammo? Billy clubs? Police dogs? You know, is that what he wants? I remember the days of the Tactical Patrol Force in Boston. They didn't mess around. They didn't need no rubber bullets. Oh, God. He is so bad, Ed Markey. And you know what? I still would have voted for him in the primary against Joe Kennedy. The VIPs are amused, but I still stand by it. I don't know. What can I say? I want to get to some stuff. Sometimes I push stuff back and I don't get to it. So I want to make sure that I mention a few stories here that I don't think get enough play. And the best one today that you're probably not going to hear much about is from Nashville, Tennessee. Where a lot of people are moving there out of the blue states. They can't get away. No income tax, easy living, affordable property, et cetera, et cetera. But they have a moonbat mayor, Just like the district attorney in Austin, Texas, is out of her mind, I guess, and the county judge in Harris County, Texas, is out of her mind. But so the Fox affiliate in Nashville, Tennessee, got a bunch of emails from the Nashville mayor's office about the COVID virus, and it's there's a place in Nashville. It's called Lower Broadway, also known as Honky Tonk Highway, and it's right across from Ryman Opera House, where the Grand Ole Opry used to be before they moved it to the outside in the suburbs, made it into a theme park, and it's where like Tootsie's Orchard Rose is and all that. Tootsie's Orchard Lounge, I guess it is. But it's the big music part of Nashville, the honky tonk. It's the tourist area, you might say, of Nashville. So on June 30th, they were doing they sent out emails about where the coronavirus clusters were in Nashville. Construction and nursing homes were found to be causing a problem with more than 1,000 cases traced to each category, but bars and restaurants reported just 22 cases. 22 cases. Leslie Waller from the health department asks, "This isn't going to be publicly released, right? Just info for the mayor's office." To which the senior advisor, Benjamin Eagles, writes back, "Correct. Not for public consumption." They don't want to let that good news out. So the reporter for the Fox News outlet says, the figure it sends back a letter to the mayor's office. The figure you gave of more than 80 does lead to a natural question. If there have been over 20,000 positive cases of COVID-19 in Davidson County and only 80 or so are traced to restaurants and bars, doesn't that mean that restaurants and bars aren't a very big problem? Do you think that this story could be repeated in many states, including Massachusetts, if we could get our hands on the emails? Health Department official Brian Todd asked 5 health department officials, "Please advise how you recommend I respond," meaning they don't want to admit it's not a problem and that they could reopen these bars and restaurants where and by the way, these are places where they have the music on like all day and like till 3:00 in the morning. And they make tons of money and employs hundreds, if not thousands, of people working in these places. And so one of them responds, one of the hacks responds, "My 2 cents, we have certainly refused to give counts per bar because those numbers are low per site." So the city councilor who got this out there, Steve Glover, says that he's been contacted by an endless stream of downtown bartenders, waitresses, and restaurant owners asking why officials would not release those numbers. Quote, this is what the city councilor in Nashville said, "We raised taxes 34% and put hundreds, literally thousands of people out of work who are now worried about losing their homes, their apartments, and we did it on bogus data. It should be illegal." So Fox News asked the mayor's office if this was true, if all these emails were true and all the fact that there was no problem in the bar, the honky tonk highway. You know what the mayor's office responded? Yes. File a Freedom of Information Act request for the documents. Pal! And then if they're like the officials up here in Boston, they'll say, it's going to cost you $10,000 to get those documents. So, as the reporter says, this allows us now to ask this question, why are you keeping these numbers from us? Why would you even want to? It's just the real numbers, and what could possibly be an honorable motive? Exactly. We'll tweet this story out. This is just a typical. This is going on everywhere, and we just don't hear about it sometimes. And you'll notice it wasn't the once acclaimed newspaper, the Nashville Tennessean, that broke that story. It was the local Fox affiliate, local TV news. All right, here's another story. I meant to get to this one yesterday, but this is a good one, too. What could possibly go wrong with mail-in ballots? You know, September 15th was the deadline, yesterday, I guess it was, or a couple of days ago, to mail out the ballots under federal law to the military. So this is from Lansing, the Detroit News, the Lansing, the State House Bureau. More than 400 Michigan military and overseas ballots were downloaded from a state database Tuesday with the incorrect running mate for President Donald Trump, listing a libertarian candidate in place of Vice President Mike Pence. What could possibly go wrong? A copy of the ballot mistake shows Jeremy Cohen. Anyone know who Jeremy Cohen is? Never heard of him. He is Joe Jorgensen, again, another name I've never heard of. He's the libertarian running mate of Joe Jorgensen.
Is there a Jan Janssen in there anywhere?
Jorgensen is listed by herself. Oh, I thought it was a guy. Jorgensen is listed by herself without a running mate in the libertarian slot on the ballot. So that's it. So they say, no problem. If a voter does happen to return the incorrect ballot instead of the correct ballot, it will still count. Well, that's good to know. They'll just make an arbitrary decision whether the ballot's good or not, or whether it's bad or not. If it looks good to us, yeah, hell yeah, we'll just count it. Ah, Lord. One more before we go to the break. The Carolina Panthers, NFL franchise. I didn't know they had a Spanish language radio broadcast, but they do. And for the last 10 years, a guy named Luis Moreno Jr. was the color announcer on the Spanish language Carolina Panthers broadcast. He has just been let go. Do you know why he's been let go? He was supporting Donald J. Trump on his social media. Eric Fiddleman, for that is indeed his name, Eric Fiddleman, the radio and television affiliate manager for the Panthers, told Marino to remove any information related to the Panthers from his bios on his personal social media accounts because the team didn't want to be associated with the President of the United States in any way.
Everybody's always blaming me for everything.
I think the president should bring this guy Luis Moreno Jr. with him to a rally somewhere, maybe in North Carolina or South Carolina. 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. Have you had enough yet of the volatility of the stock markets? Down 1,000 or more points one day, up the next. Are you tired of watching that little box at the bottom of your TV screen that shows the market plunging hundreds of points? You need to get diversified with Orion Metal Exchange. You shouldn't be caught flat-footed in this roller coaster ride the stock markets are on. No matter what the reason, the coronavirus or the oil price war abroad, you always need to be diversified. And that means owning some precious metals, gold and silver. Listen up. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company that I trust. If you haven't yet taken advantage of their no-obligation guide, it's still not too late. Give them a call today to learn more about gold and silver. Call Orion today at 1-800-912-2300. That's 1-800-912-2300. Call them now, 1-800-912-2300. I'm Howie Carr.
You're tuned into the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by J.T. Kelly, real estate broker of Keller Williams, serving Greater Boston. Have you considered buying or selling in Greater Boston this year? J.T. Kelly is making Boston area real estate great again. 1-800-364-9200.
Here's 1 minute of getting to know Jared Diglio. What would be your last meal on Earth?
Pizza. Cheese pizza. Just regular cheese pizza.
What drink are you going to have with your pizza?
I gotta go Coke. You gotta go Coke with pizza. It's the perfect combination.
Where's your favorite vacation spot?
I'm a staycation kind of guy. I like just staying in my place, but if I had to go to a destination, I love Italy, especially Rome.
If you could live in any state besides Massachusetts, which one would you choose?
Nevada. Wide open land, people leave you alone. Plus, it's not that far from Vegas or LA.
If you weren't in radio, what profession would you be in?
Gigolo.
Favorite comic book character?
Spider-Man. He's been my favorite since I was a kid. He's the most identifiable of the superheroes. He's just kind of a normal guy who's got a lot of problems, but he's got to overcome it and save the day.
Favorite Star Trek character?
I love TNG, but I got to go with James T. Kirk.
Dogs or cats?
Neither.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's.
Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Can you remember any time in your life when you were starstruck?
One time I saw Peter Vesey, the NBA columnist for the New York Post. He was in the Herald sports department. I really liked his column, so I went up and introduced myself to him. Then one time there was Cousin Brucey from WABC, and I used to listen to him driving back and forth between Chapel Hill and Deerfield when I was in college. Everybody on the East Coast listened to him. I couldn't believe that I was in the presence of Cousin Brucey.
Do you ever play bridge anymore?
No, I haven't played bridge in a very long time. Nobody I know plays bridge. I think my bridge days are behind me.
Do you think you'd still be good at it?
I'm not a great bidder, but I know how to count cards. That to me is the essence of playing a hand of bridge, is to be able to count cards.
What is a rhino?
Rhino is a Republican in name only. Think Paul Ryan. Oh, think Mitt Romney. Think Jeff Flake.
This is Alex from East Bridgewater, Mass.
This is Ann in Saco, Maine.
This is John Zuko from Hampton, Mass. And this is The Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Genesis 950, sending warm thoughts to all the cars after Mr. Gooner's passing. Before you replace your carpets due to pet stains, try Genesis 950. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors from the carpet and padding. Order direct at genesis950.com. Put in code word Howie and get free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1-gallon purchase of Genesis 950. That's a $10 savings. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
If President Trump wins re-election, will it be by a landslide or a close margin?
I'd like to say landslide, but I'm going to be more cautious. I'm going to say a close margin.
77% say it's going to be a landslide.
Okay. It's going to be a landslide among people I know, that's for sure. 844-500-4242. Let's see. 781. Yes, is this the Governor Charlie Parker snitch line? I want to report the Howie Carr Show VIP studio experience is very loud today. It may be over phase 3 capacity. Then he lists the address, the bastard. 844-500-4242. The reason I haven't gotten the snitch line logs, by the way, is for the same reason that the mayor's office in Nashville is refusing to turn over the logs to the Fox affiliate. We filed a Freedom of Information Act request, and now they're claiming it's going to cost them us thousands of dollars to get them. Yeah, I know. Why do they think we're going to make sport of them? I don't understand. 844-500-4242. Ty, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Ty.
Hi, Howie.
Hi.
I think I'm going to need the voice changer.
The voice changer, the witness protection program of the Howie Carr Show. Once we put on the voice changer, no one, as you can see from my voice, no one will be able to recognize your voice. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've talked to you before. It's been a few years, but I always listen to you. But listen, I got some kind of mail-in thing for my mother. She had a stroke about 2.5 years ago, and I got a mail-in ballot for her. Now, I'm her guardian, and I'm her POA, and it's kind of interesting. She's not legally competent because she's got dementia, but I guess she can still vote with a mail-in, huh?
I guess she can. So you got her mail-in ballot?
I've got a notification that says they will send her a mail-in ballot.
An application. Yeah, I got the application myself the other night. Yeah.
And all I got to do is fill it in for her and send it in, and I guess it's legal. Now, we're big Trump supporters anyway, but I just thought it was hilarious.
No, I know there's a lot of that going on, and people are still telling me that, you know, in some of their households where there's a Democrat or a unenrolled, those people are getting the ballots, but the Republican people in the household aren't getting the ballots. I can't confirm that because in my household, there's two Republicans and one independent, being me, and we all three of us got our ballot applications. But it's just so the potential for fraud is so overwhelming. I'm scared, Ty. That's what really bothers me. I think in an honest election, Trump would win in a landslide. Thanks for the call, Ty. Arthur, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Arthur.
Well, you know what? Like me, Howie, you're a very streetwise guy, right?
I hope so.
And you know, and one thing that bothers me more than anything, and it was the same thing with Hillary, only they didn't set up the votes right. They had 3 million extra, but they didn't put them in the right states. And this guy's not campaigning Biden. He doesn't even have a grassroots place anywhere in the country, going door to door. He's doing absolutely nothing. But the 80 million absentee ballots, I mean, they look like it's already in the tank. That's the way they're walking around. And like you, I'm scared to death. There hasn't been an honest election, and God knows how long.
Yeah, I mean, you always know there's going to be hanky-panky here and there, but this is the first time it ever seems to be so well organized and well orchestrated, and they're encouraging it. And it's like Trump was saying about the governor of Nevada, and he's not the only one. I mean, they're just dumping these ballots everywhere. Thanks for the call, Arthur. This is a good day to get on the Chump line, 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. It'd be good to get on right now because that would give Grace a little time to cut it. Jared's out today. We're a little short-handed, and it's a perfect day to get on the Chump line. And if you don't make the Chump line, go to Chop Chumps, 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump line and leave your message. Tell me if you're a Nashville cat. Play Clean as Country Water. But not right now. Not right now. There's no problem, but Lower Broadway is shut down. Shut down. Because we have a lib mayor in the Music City. Lee, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Lee.
Off topic. What's more annoying, Canada geese or cyclists? Because if it's cyclists, I got a story for you.
You mean bicyclists?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me the story.
I watched a guy go around a cyclist with a big, truck.
Yeah.
And he was way over. And the cyclist was giving him a dirty look and waving at him and drove right into one of them triangular road construction sign ahead. Wiped them out.
I let you say that story. I'm not going to comment on that. I saw a story over the weekend that it said, that some of the Antifa Black Lives Matter people were they went after Trader Joe's in Seattle. I don't know why they were mad at Trader Joe's. I guess it's rampant capitalism, and they said the Black Lives Matter people have also been complaining about the gentrification of Seattle, as shown by the increased number of bicycle lanes. I said I do agree with them on one thing. I'm Howie Carr.
Of all the 4 seasons, we here at Matthews Brothers love the presidential campaign season the most. Perhaps it's because it's like the other 3 seasons all rolled into one, those being tourist, mud, and black fly. Like the tourist season, you can't wait for it to arrive, but as soon as it does, you can't wait for it to end. Mud season, because when it starts flying, you just want to keep your head down and pray you don't become part of the landscape. And black fly season, because of all God's creatures, there's nothing more hateful, more annoying, and more ubiquitous than these blood-sucking eating machines. But the main reason we love election season is because their commercials are more annoying than ours. After all, who wouldn't prefer spending 60 seconds listening to the amazing thermal and structural properties of our windows and doors if the alternate is them? Who wouldn't want to hear about our dealer network of better lumber yards and window professionals instead of them? And who wouldn't want to hear about our 166-year history of making wicked awesome windows and doors as opposed to them again? You can learn more about our wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al-Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
We all shop online, and now you can do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 5-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach is probably the Honor Bar, which used to be O-Bar, and you can get a really great hamburger there, and they have a great coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually.
Here are some rapid-fire questions with Taylor Cormier. If you had to live in a state besides Massachusetts, which would you choose?
Montana. No question about it. When is the last time you've heard of anything happening in Montana? The answer is you haven't. It's quiet. Nobody's going to bother you in Montana.
If you weren't a radio guy, what profession would you be in?
My number one dream job is to be an antique dealer. You know, like the American Pickers. I would love that job. Going through people's old garbage and junk and trying to find that diamond in the rough, and you're always learning as you go. It's a lot of fun to watch, and I think that's why I go antiquing on the weekends.
What is your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your favorite TV show?
The Honeymooners. Jackie Gleason is the most hilarious person on television ever.
What is your favorite soda?
I'm not a big soda guy. It's got to be a special occasion for me to drink soda, but I'm partial to Dr. Pepper.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. No, texter, this is not canned laughter. These guys are enjoying the show today, the VIPs. And we had another VIP in here earlier this week, and a couple of them from the Cape. And they said, why don't you have on the guy from North Falmouth who's running the Trump trailer, where they sell all the Trump stuff? And I said, that would be a good idea, but I don't know his last name. He never wants to give out his last name when he's attacked and someone's arrested who's 77 years old for exposing himself and in front of the Trump trailer. I mean, it's out of control. But these guys said, we know this. We know Dwayne. We'll get him for you. So it's a pleasure now to welcome Dwayne from the Trump trailer in North Falmouth to the show. Hi, Dwayne. How you doing?
Great, Howie. How are you?
Very good. Very good. And it's great to talk to you. And I'm so glad that we were able to set this up. But I want to know what is it like to run a Trump trailer in the belly of the beast?
It's been interesting to say the least.
So what?
Never a dull moment over here, for sure.
What? Tell me the kind of stuff that happens. Let's start with the guy, the 77-year-old guy. I'm reading now from the headline from the Cape Cod Times. Falmouth man arrested after exposing himself to Trump merchandise shoppers.
Yes, sir. He had been driving by a few times that day, just holding down his horn and driving real slow. And probably his fifth or sixth time going by, he decided he was going to stop in front of the trailer. And some old lady had flipped him the bird, so he decided he was going to mount the curb and try to mow down some yard signs. He returned approximately an hour later, and he got right up on the grass, right snug up the inflatable Trump I had out on the lawn.
He smashed the inflatable Trump?
No, he just got up tight to it, trying to intimidate us with his vehicle. And there was a female landscaper working here on the property, and she went up to his window to ask him what his problem was, and he actually spit in her face. So she slapped him, and he took off, and he came back a minute later, and his third time on the curb, he managed to pop his tire. He then left. A passerby stopped to ask us if we were all right, and while she's standing there talking to us, here he comes pulling around behind the trailer. And she starts shooting a video, and he gets out and he exposes himself, and then he told the women to perform on him, and then he pulled his pants up and came around and charged headlong at us.
This guy was 77 years old. He should have been home praying for a happy death.
Yes, sir.
And so let me just read this. So the cops, you had his license number. So the cops went to his house to arrest him, and he denied everything occurring in North Falmouth. Then he was informed of the video, and the police report says Mr. Goodman, for that was his name, Mr. Goodman, not to be confused with Mr. Fiddleman from the Carolina Panthers organization. Mr. Goodman then became extremely irate and insulting. Mr. Goodman was screaming obscenities and accusing Redacted of hitting him in the face 3 times. He went on to assume we were Trump supporters, meaning the cops, and began calling us fascists. When police arrested Mr. Goodman, he began screaming, saying he hoped the officers would die and their children would get cancer and die. Well, his candidate, I thought, was going to cure cancer, Joe Biden. When en route to the Falmouth police station for booking, Mr. Goodman called me a slut, called me stupid, and asked if my IQ was 60 and if I make $30,000 a year. This was a female officer, obviously. The rest of the ride, Mr. Goodman laughed and stated we were all going to get it. And then he said, "I can't wait for the revolution. We'll see who is lying in a pool of blood." So this is obviously the extreme example, but what happens on a normal day at the Trump trailer in North Falmouth, Dwayne?
So we don't have too many extremists like that, but I do get screamed obscenities as people drive by. Sometimes they stop traffic altogether just so that they can shout stuff to us. There's only been actually about 3 people that have been bold enough to come up and shout in my face. I tend to talk them down. Luckily, nothing's happened when I have my daughter here, because I probably wouldn't use words.
How old is she, your daughter?
My daughter's going to be 12 on Tuesday.
Oh, good Lord. And so sometimes they come by and they're still screaming at you, even though they see a little kid outside the trailer?
So she does like to hang out on the sidewalk and just wave an American flag or a back the blue flag. And, yeah, they still scream obscenities even though there's a child present. In fact, the other night there was a guy who drove by in his diesel pickup truck, and he must have, some performance modifications, and he decided to goose his throttle and deal a little soot our way. And so I can't wait to share some words with him.
So what is the if you could describe the average person, the average moonbat who comes down and screams at you and hurls obscenities and gives you the finger, how would you describe the average person who does that?
So I'd call them the tolerant left. That's what we're fond of calling them. They tend to be a little extreme left. People don't like him. They should go ahead and compel others. Convince young people to vote. The people that think their vote is wasted. He's for the working man. He offers people a lot of hope. And if you don't like it, then you can look the other way or you can use your vote. But I don't know what these people think that they're trying to accomplish.
I saw in the story that they said there's 7 of these locations throughout New England. I thought this was like a one-off deal.
Oh no. We are up to, I believe, 17 locations.
17 now. Wow. 17.
Oh yeah, and we're still looking for more locations.
Wow. That's something. So where is the nearest locations to Boston and to Portland and to Concord, say?
Well, I know that there's one in Easton, Bellingham, Wilmington, Hanson. I know there's one in Providence, Smithfield, Winford, Connecticut. I mean, we're all over. If anybody's trying to find one nearby, they're welcome to go ahead and check out our website, newenglandfortrump.com.
newenglandfortrump.com. What's the biggest seller at the Trump trailer in North Falmouth?
That's hard to say. We sell a ton of hats, flags, shirts, stickers. I mean, I have a hard time keeping the stickers on the table. We don't just sell Trump stuff. We sell a lot of American flag stuff. We sell a ton of military, police, law enforcement, firefighter, EMT. We support all service branches.
And so did Black Lives Matter come after you guys in Somerset?
So I understand that they do regularly protest out there. I'm not really in close contact with the people who work out there, so I don't know that they got attacked. I just know that they do protest quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. And what happens after the election to the Trump trailers?
Well, we should do pretty good sales because he's going to have another 4 years, and right up through Christmas, everybody's going to be clamoring to get this stuff.
Has Mr. Goodman been back since he was arrested?
No, as a condition of bail, he's not to return to the property, and to my knowledge, he hasn't. I just heard yesterday that he was, as a condition of bail, he was not supposed to be in public areas. I don't really understand that, but apparently he got in trouble a couple of times for being down at the beach.
Did it involve trousers again?
I I did not hear about that, so I'm assuming that he kept his pants on this time.
So what was the second, one last question, what was the second most memorable incident at the Trump trailer?
Well, just last week, it didn't happen while we were open, but a couple of young men decided that they were going to vandalize the stand. So we can't fit everything in the trailer because we have so much merchandise. So I have some grid walls set up in a triangle and a tent frame out there to display my flags. And these young men had gone, they park here often, and they go over to their friend's house to party. They had flipped
Wait a
over
second.
the grid
Wait a
wall
second. What
and the
about
tent frame.
COVID-19, Dwayne?
Oh,
Come on.
yeah.
I thought all the Biden voters believe this stuff. How come they aren't self-quarantining and maintaining social distance?
I don't think the young men are too concerned about that. They probably think they're too healthy to be affected by this.
So they
caused considerable damage, about $4,000 in damage.
Wow.
They actually even picked up a sign that says these premises protected by video surveillance, and apparently they didn't believe the sign because they used it to beat the snot out of one of the trailer doors.
Have they been arrested?
They have not yet been formally charged. They have all been spoken to by the police and understand that they're under investigation. They are all going to be facing felony charges.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Then they can learn what it's like under the heel of the man directly.
So I'm actually hoping that my boss can come to an understanding with them that if they pay restitution and they scrub the graffiti off the sidewalk,
yeah,
because it's pretty vulgar, that he'd be willing to drop the charges so that they don't, as young adults, start their life with felony records.
Yes. It's tough to be known as a jailbird at the age of 21. So
lessons learned the hard way are the hardest to forget.
So where do people go if they want to know where the Trump trailers are? Go ahead, give us the web address one more time, Dwayne.
It is newenglandfortrump.com.
newenglandfortrump.com. And thank you, Dwayne. And we're going to keep your number just in case we read about you again in the Cape Cod Times. Maybe we'll get an update if these nice young men who aren't worried about the virus are actually lugged. Very
good.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. We enjoyed it. Thanks for talking to us. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Villa in Wayland, celebrating over 70 years in business. From my favorite, veal parm, to their seafood dinners, the Villa has all your home-cooked favorites. Who loves you, baby? The Villa, that's who. Do you have no water, poor water quality, or low pressure? This is Howie Carr. Call the local water service experts, Skillings & Sons. They're ready with 24-hour service with no extra charge for after-hours calls. And a fleet of trucks stocked with parts to make sure you're not without water. With over 50 years of experience, they take pride in having a family of employees that are the best in the business. For all things water, Skillings & Sons is there for you. SkillingsandSons.com.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
the investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in. The worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes, we're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second, control room? So that's not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about the first lady that way. We aren't all here to make salads for men. It's disgusting.
I mean, I'm presuming he was talking about Karen Pence when he said second lady.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Not Montana. I'm talking about no, never mind.
Yeah, no,
Ignore me.
I mean, that's Republicans could add to
I was getting Montana and North Dakota confused because, I don't know, I just was.
Hi, this is Val from Longmeadow, Mass.
Hi, this is Tony and Pietra from Haverhill, Massachusetts.
This is Myrnie in Fairfax County, Virginia, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Joining us now is Kevin Frisby. We're checking in, as we always do, with Kevin Frisby. He's the financial advisor for the Howie Carr Show Network, and just wanted to get his input in on the financial markets. Kevin, what's going on this weekend that we need to know about?
Hey there, Howie. Natural pullback today in the markets. Markets are down a couple hundred points, led by some of the tech sector. You know, we talked last couple of weeks. The tech sector has led the markets up for the last year, really.
Right.
And it's just a natural progression of circulating investments out of tech monies and into some other sectors is all.
And there was a Census Bureau report that came out this week talking about how great the economy was and how all income groups and all demographic groups were benefiting from the Trump economy until this COVID-19 panic began. You saw those reports. They haven't gotten nearly enough play, I don't think, in the mainstream media.
I did see those reports, and of course they're not getting enough play in the mainstream media. We all know why. I can tell you right now, the economy's still got some rumblings of goodness through it. The real estate market's the most robust real estate market we've ever seen in our life. I ask anybody that's in the real estate business, it's amazing what's going on, partly because of the low rates that continue on. But the rest of the economy, I mean, the jobs numbers aren't as bad this morning as what some people thought it might have been, and unemployment rates on the tick down. So I think we're going to get there again to where we were before COVID, Howie.
Yeah, I hope so. It seems to be coming back around, but I guess a lot will depend on the elections. And the state by state numbers are coming out tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and we'll see how Maine was way up, where you are, was way up last month to about 10%. And Massachusetts still led the nation as it has for the last couple of months in unemployment numbers. So what are you recommending for our listeners to this week, Kevin?
Well, you mentioned the election. I'm still going to. By the way, I want to apologize for the callers for the last 2 weeks. We had a little bit of a phone glitch. Some of the callers got through, some of them didn't. So as a result, I'm going to beef up my giveaway this week. I'm going to give the portfolio X-ray like we talked about last week. I'm also going to include my book with that for the first 25 callers to today's show. If they want to call in, if you called the last couple of weeks and you couldn't get through, you'll be able to reach us today. And that phone number, Howie, is 1-800-989-9100 is how people can reach us today.
1-800-989-9100, and that's how they reach you. They can get the portfolio X-ray. And I told you last week that I've stopped making contributions to the equity funds on my 401k, and I've gotten a couple of calls from people texting me saying they feel the same way until the election is over, just to be on the safe side.
Be on the safer side. You're better off to do that. As we've talked off air before, be conservative right now. Even if the market goes up a couple more percent, you're better off to not try to get those gains and try to prevent any downturn, providing the election doesn't go the right way.
Yeah. And so the portfolio X-ray is you're one of your people just looks at it's no obligation, no cost, it's free. They just one of your guys looks at the someone's portfolio and says you're a little overextended, you may need to diversify, et cetera, or you're perfect, like Goldilocks with the three bears,
like the three bears. That's all it is, Howie. No obligation. One of our guys, or even myself, might look at your investments and say, hey, you ought to think about doing something a little bit differently, and we'll make some recommendations. It doesn't mean you're going to do business with us. We do have some callers that do business, but it doesn't mean you're going to. There's no obligation to that. It's just to get a handle on your risk is all it is.
Yeah. And it is kind of, disconcerting to see the market going up and down like this, up and down. Sometimes, like I think this morning, it was down 300 right out of the box. And then then I looked back a couple hours later, and it's only down 40 points. And you kind of you don't want to worry about it, but if you just keep seeing these numbers popping up, it kind of concerns you, I think, naturally.
Yeah, and listen, if you look at the overall markets the last 2 weeks, we've had negative weeks, two weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. You might see that the movement, as you say, with the volatility like today, that's going to continue right up until the election. And God forbid we have a contested election. The markets are really not going to like that. You're going to see more down than up, but you're going to see that up and down. You just don't want to get caught in a storm. Like I said, when we do the X-ray, try to figure out how much risk people have and maybe reallocate that. Just to prevent any major downturn. Not saying it's going to happen, but you're better off to step, as you said, to the side, take a step back, and take a breath.
Better safe than sorry, as my old aunt used to say, Aunt Mabel. So what's the number again, Kevin?
Number, Howie, is 1-800-989-9100. That's how people can reach us, 1-800-989-9100.
Get the portfolio X-ray and a copy of Kevin Frisbee's book. I'm Howie Carr. I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but this reminded me again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer, a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. Right now, when a lot of people don't want to go into the city, Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols that Perfect Smiles has taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile. Change your life.
President Trump is clearly ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of the United States. And I support Chairwoman. In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings. Congresswoman Harris, Congressman Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what it. He comes in with doggy do on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too. But I only will do that if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of George Kirby's name. This moment of national anguish.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You've watched the fight. You've watched the tactics. But here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal. And we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal.
Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer is impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the Speaker sends the papers over, so everybody enjoy the holidays.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
Biden might be the frontrunner for the Democrats, but that isn't stopping him from serving up a whole lot of gaffes. Take a listen.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for 3 reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our... I had permission to hug Lonnie. He says, let's make America great again. Let's make America America again. I think I'm either low IQ or slow, or I don't know what I am. Slow Joe Biden. Thanks for the Mary, and I'm going to be here a lot. I want the press to know she pulled me close. I just want you to know, okay? President Trump inherited an economy from Obama Biden. By the way, he gave me permission to touch it. They can't even figure out how to deal with The fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the in the west.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here are some rapid-fire questions with Taylor Cormier. What is one thing about you that might surprise people?
This just came up the other day, and I had forgotten I had done it, so it was kind of a surprise to me. I'm in a zombie movie, and that came about through an old radio job. I was interviewing somebody. They were doing a casting call for extras. I gave them the idea of doing a zombie scene in our radio station, and I was attacked by zombies in my own radio studio. It's a corny movie, but it's supposed to be that way, and I think I did a great job.
Dogs or cats?
Cats. I've grown up with cats. We have a cat now. They're just easier to take care of. You can leave them throughout the whole day, and they're going to be just fine. In fact, they won't even care that you're gone. They'll be glad you're gone.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
McDonald's or Burger King?
Used to be Burger King. They had better fries way back when, but now it's McDonald's.
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What is your least favorite Frank Sinatra song to sing?
My Way in New York. I can't stand My Way. It's a very self-promoting song, and New York's very difficult to sing.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
So let me be clear. I trust vaccines, I trust scientists, but I don't trust Donald Trump.
One of the problems is the way he's playing with politics. I'm worried if we do have a really good vaccine, people are going to be reluctant to take it.
You're saying don't trust the president. Are you confident that enough Americans will buy in?
Trust the scientists.
People should not be walking around with masks.
But some sort of mask-like facial covering should be a very regular part of how we prevent the spread of infection.
Who do you trust? Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
But we certainly have seen very active efforts by the Russians to influence our election in 2020, primarily to denigrate Vice President Biden.
We don't need their help.
I'm not the president. Not at all.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
This is from Senator Ed Markey. We must disarm these officers and every other police department in America of weapons of war and enact a nationwide ban on tear gas, rubber and plastic bullets, and beanbag rounds.
When are we going to start talking about disarming criminals? Everyone always says one thing. These were peaceful protesters. So I guess when you're throwing Molotov cocktails, railroad spikes, other projectiles, you're using green lasers, I guess that constitutes being peaceful.
Unchained and unstoppable.
These so-called Black Lives Matter people, now that as a proposition, who can quarrel with the proposition Black Lives Matter? But they're not interested in black lives. They're interested in props.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. Welcome to the Howie Carr Show. Grace will be with us a little bit later in the hour with her news. Right now, we're waiting to hear from the president's son, Eric Trump, and he'll be with us very shortly. And he's on a campaign swing through New England. Eric Trump, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Howie, it's wonderful to be on. I'm driving through Maine as we speak. The enthusiasm is through the roof.
Yeah, where in Maine are you exactly, Eric? Do you know?
We're in Saco. And,
Saco?
We
Okay.
just did a big lobster event here, and it was unbelievable. We had every lobster fisherman come out, all the boats, and we literally had hundreds of people, and it's been incredible. It's absolutely been incredible.
That's great. You're in the southern part of Maine, which is more Democrat than the northern part of Maine, where your father got an electoral vote back in 2016. But I think a lot of people in Maine really like you. So where are you going to be? Are you just in town for today? Just in New England for today? Or are you in for a couple of days?
I am just in for today, and I'm back at some point next week or the week after. And I really believe, Howie, we can win all of Maine. It's when you see the enthusiasm down here, down south, and every single person, every single house, they have Trump flags on them, and they have American flags that are out. And you should see the amount of people we have, and people are upset. People don't like this whole defunding of law enforcement. People don't like this proposal to raise people's taxes by $4 trillion, which Biden is proposing. This is a seriously radical left platform. They want to take away all private health insurance. They want to stop border wall construction. People aren't into this stuff. And frankly, they're not inspired by Biden. Biden's a guy who's been in office for 47 years. He hasn't accomplished a damn thing. Yet they're watching my father every day. He's creating a new Middle East peace deal. And, people just don't like the old guard in Washington, D.C., and they want to see a change.
I couldn't believe it yesterday when your father said, I was reading the Woodward book last night, and then they all go crazy. They say, he said he was reading the Woodward book the night before. Jesus, 452 pages, long. Even if you're just looking at the index and going back and reading what page you're on, takes you more than one night. And yet they let Biden told this crazy story about a veteran killing a woman. And we went back and fact-checked that thing, and there were like 6 or 7 major mistakes in it, and nobody in the national media picked up on it. They just want to go after your father for saying he read Woodward's book 2 nights in a row. It's crazy.
Yeah, Howie Biden's called Arizona City, right? The guy doesn't know where he is. I'm not sure if Biden can actually read a book and get through it, fully comprehend a book. He had to ask his wife yesterday where he was traveling to, when he was traveling to Florida. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what's going on. It's really amazing. He certainly wouldn't do an interview like this without a teleprompter or without, kind of written talking points. It's actually embarrassing. I actually feel bad for the guy. But, again, the guy's been in politics his entire life. He's been in politics for 47 years. He hasn't accomplished a damn thing. He's never created a job. He's never held a job outside of Washington, D.C. And look at the job my father's done for this country, between the economy, between rebuilding the military, the vets, trade deals, Middle Eastern peace, prescription drugs, what he's doing to lower the price. Look what he's done with Supreme Court justices. Look at what he's done to protect the Second Amendment and religious liberty in this country, which is, totally under assault. And I just couldn't be more proud of the guy.
Yesterday we were, following the press conferences, and your father, who's the president of the United States, took about 10 times as many questions as Joe Biden did, the challenger. And he was stumbling. Joe Biden couldn't get through, even though he was just being asked questions by Democrat stenographers with press passes. And your father was, dueling with all these people who were trying to hand him his head. It's just what a difference between the two candidates.
Oh, Howie, all the people he calls on, he always takes a list out of, Biden always takes a list out of his pocket. And yes, I would like to call on my friend from Wilmington, Delaware, to ask me a question.
ABC Mary yesterday. ABC Mary. That's whoever heard of describing someone as ABC Mary. But that's what he says.
I know. From a list, they're all pre-approved questions. Could you imagine? You have Jim Acosta. You watch him yelling and ranting and raving, and is shouting the nastiest things at my father. And my father, answers and fights back. And I mean, could you imagine this guy trying to deal with President Xi of China? Could you imagine this guy dealing with Putin? I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, you saw it, Howie, the other day. He took a question from a 17-year-old high school student, and he's saying, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, meaning he had the answer written on a teleprompter already. I mean, it's so phony. It's unbelievable. Right. And America sees through it, Howie. I mean, make no mistake. As much as the media covers for this guy, America sees through this nonsense.
And he was in Michigan last week, and they gave him a card that said so many fatalities in MI, and he thought it was military, even though he's flown to Michigan, and he thinks MI stands for military.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, he also said he pulled 750 million women out of poverty, which is kind of interesting considering the United States only has 340 million people. It's kind of
well. Don't forget, Eric.
This is their best and brightest, Howie. This is their best and brightest.
120 million people have died in the COVID epidemic, and 150 million people have been killed by firearms since Bernie Sanders voted against the firearms legislation in 2017 or 2007. Hey, listen, your wife is from North Carolina, is she not?
She is. She's from Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina.
Yeah, I wanted to. You guys, have you heard about what happened with the Carolina Panthers Spanish language radio announcer?
No, I didn't. What happened?
Luis Marino Jr. He wasn't at the mic for the team's season opening loss to the Raiders on Sunday. Why would the popular analyst who's been calling games alongside his uncle since 2010 step away from a coveted NFL gig? The Charlotte Observer says that the reason he's gone, Eric, he has been openly supportive of President Donald Trump, and the Panthers didn't approve.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me. You know, Howie, that's called discrimination. It's called illegal. If I was to do that to somebody in our company, right, I mean, I'd get sued the following day. I mean, it's actually illegal to discriminate against somebody, but it only goes one way. You know this. You talk about it all the time, Howie.
Yeah.
Why is it that only goes one way? Why is it that we have an unequal system of justice in this country where you can discriminate against a Republican, but, I mean, it's really disgusting. It's really horrible. And this cancel culture has people enraged. The censorship of Google and Twitter and Facebook has people enraged. America sees this for what it is. They see through it, and it's there's no surefire way to get people out to the polls faster than trying to cancel their voice, and it's really unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's really something. I mean, you guys ought to reach out to this guy, Louis Marino Jr., and try to get him in. And I guess the owner of the Angels has said that is also Hispanic, and he said that everybody's got to vote for Donald Trump. The only reason they can't cancel him is because he owns the team.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I guess I just became an Angels fan. It's but. I'm gonna start rooting for the Angels, and you know what? Americans are sick and tired of seeing this stuff. They're sick and tired of this intolerance. The Democrats always claim that they were the party of tolerance. They're the least tolerant people in the entire world. And you look at the radical left and how bad that they are right now. It's it's terrible. And Howie, it's why we're going to win this thing. But we're not into kneeling to the national anthem. We're not into seeing our American flags get burned. We're not into seeing law enforcement officers who are incredible get disrespected. We're not into seeing the police get defunded, and neither is America. These are 99% issues. America's not into this stuff either.
So, Eric Trump, are you going to be? You got any stops tonight that people can get to if they're in York County, Maine, or Cumberland County tonight?
Not tonight. We're done. We were all over Maine. We've been all over New Hampshire. I was in Georgia yesterday. I've been in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, heading out to Nevada and Arizona and everywhere else. But I'm going to be back in Maine in a couple of weeks. And I really mean it. I believe we can win the entire state, not just the northern part of the state. I believe we can win the entire state. And again, I spent so much time here in 2016, and just the enthusiasm I'm seeing is unbelievable. It's truly, truly unbelievable. And we love the people of Maine. We love this state. Just we got from this.
The state is really locked down. I mean, there have been practically no fatalities, and Janet Mills has still got the state, especially the southern part of the state, in a near martial law, and it's just really crazy. I think that's going to benefit the Trump campaign.
We've got to back up. We've got to open this country back.
Yeah. And that includes Massachusetts, too, a nominal Republican governor, but it's still shut down, and got to get everything back open again. Eric Trump, thanks for being with us. The president's son, he's on the bus in Saco, Maine right now, heading back, I guess, to the airport to leave, but he'll be back in Maine in a couple of weeks. Thanks, Eric Trump. If you missed out on the cheap bastard deal for Eden Pure pain cream that sold out in minutes, you don't need to be depressed. You can still get $20 off your first 3-ounce tube with Howie's big discount. Just use code word Howie at checkout. I've been using Eden Pure's pharmaceutical grade pain cream, and it has really taken away the pain I felt for years in my left leg and my left foot. The cream started working in minutes. I broke all of those limbs years ago, and as I've gotten older, it's been giving me more trouble. You know how that goes. But now I put the cream on in the morning and then again before I go to bed. The 3-ounce tube could last you for months. Eden Pure's pain cream has FDA-approved ingredients and is designed to maximize the highest amount of relief at the most affordable price. Customers use the cream for arthritis, back and joint pain. The cream is super powerful but is non-addictive and has no bad side effects. Eden Pure pain cream is much less than prescription drugs, but it feels like a pricey prescription cream to me. And again, it's much larger than you get in the prescriptions. Eden Pure pain cream has a 99.2% customer satisfaction rating, and I'm one who's very satisfied. It works. Get a tube today at EdenPure.com. That's EdenPure.com. And don't forget code word Howie to save big. That's code word Howie to save big. EdenPure.com. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone. Howie Carr.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of...
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can all see you're in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet. A little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't...
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
This is Mark in Williston, Vermont.
This is Marie in Somerville, Massachusetts.
This is Mike from South Attleboro, Mass. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
By the way, if you're looking for that website that we talked about in the first hour, New England for Trump, it's actually nefortrump.com, nefortrump.com. I don't know if you can get there with New England or not, but nefortrump.com is the real way to do it. Today's poll question is brought to you by Genesis 950, sending warm thoughts to all the cars after Mr. Gooner's passing. That's my dog. Before you replace your carpets due to pet stains, try Genesis 950. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors from the carpet and padding. Order direct at genesis950.com. Put in code word Howie and get free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1-gallon purchase of Genesis 950. That's a $10 savings. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
If President Trump wins re-election, will it be by a landslide or a close margin?
I'm going to say a close margin, but I hope it's a landslide.
32% say it's going to be a squeaker.
A squeaker. Okay, Bill Barr was out at Hillsdale College yesterday, and he made a real barn burner of a speech, and he just he's really good at these presentations. I hope he presents something to the grand jury to be signed by the foreman for the or his minion John Durham presents something to the grand jury soon. But I thought that he made a good point about the lockdown, which really bothers me. And we just talked with Eric Trump. It's just this lockdown is so overstated. We're getting more and more information from around the country about how bogus these statistics are. It's turned out now that the mayor of Nashville seems to have decided to not release public documents showing that there is no problem in the bars and restaurants of Music City, USA. I mean, there's no reason for these places to be shut down by the mayor's own numbers, and they're just suppressing them. Why would you suppress good news? This is a first, isn't it? Who ever heard of politicians who were trying to not let positive numbers about a disease or the economy or the crime rate out? It's crazy. So this is Attorney General Bill Barr talking about the lockdown, cut 4.
Putting a national lockdown, stay-at-home orders is like house arrest. It's other than slavery, which was a different kind of restraint, this is the greatest intrusion on civil liberties in American history.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for admitting it. And they're just saying you have to be responsible. No, you don't have to be responsible. Not if there's no reason to be responsible. And there was a crazy story yesterday in the New York Times that Bill Barr was supposedly telling the U.S. attorney out in Washington State to perhaps think about seeking sedition charges against the mayor of Seattle. I mean, you can get her for misfeasance, malfeasance, and nonfeasance in office, but it's absurd to say that they were going to seek sedition charges. The U.S. attorney out there in Washington State denied it, and Barr denied it. But he did say that, Barr did point out, as he's seen from the whole Obamagate scandal, that the Justice Department can go out of control. Cut 3.
There's yet another reason for having layers of supervision. Individual prosecutors can sometimes become headhunters. It's all too often. They're consumed with taking down their target. Subjecting their decisions to review by detached supervisors ensure the involvement of dispassionate decision makers.
The only question I have is how many dispassionate decision makers are there in the Justice Department building down there in D.C. Cut 2.
Now, we're all human, and like any person, a prosecutor can become overly invested in a particular goal. Prosecutors who devote months and years of their lives to investigating a particular target may become deeply invested in their case and assured of the rightness of their cause. When a prosecution becomes my prosecution, particularly if the investigation is highly public or has been acrimonious, or if The prosecutor is confident early on that the target has committed a serious crime. There's always a temptation to will a prosecution, a charge, into existence, even when the facts, the law, or the fair-handed administration of justice do not support bringing the charge.
It's always been true, but with Obamagate, it was a system more out of control than ever before in American history. It is the greatest scandal in American political history, what they tried to do to Donald Trump and his people. And I like his words, but I'd like to see some actions too. We'll be right back with Grace's News in just a moment. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr. Campers, are you thinking about getting a new or used RV this year? This is Howie Carr, and Cold Springs RV is ready for you. The 2021 models are now arriving daily, but they won't last long. After one visit, you will understand why they are a one-stop shop for all things camping. With all the top RV brands, a new state-of-the-art service center, a new RV body shop, and a huge store full of accessories, you don't need to go anywhere else. If it is service you need, the brand new state-of-the-art service facility is ready for you. They service all makes and brands. If your RV needs body work, they have you covered. They can help you with collision repair, roof replacement, or even a new paint job. From minor repairs to major insurance jobs, Cold Springs RV can do it all. As a full-service RV dealer, you know they can fix just about anything. If you are a service technician and want to work for the best, ask about employment today. Cold Springs RV, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire. ColdSpringsRV.com, your destination for all things camping.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow?
I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in.
I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop?
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, ordered by.
Is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class.
And my Aunt B has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
Here's 1 minute of CNN's Don Lemon.
What do you say to those Trump voters who prioritize the economy over the president's bigotry?
I have a big announcement, and it's somewhere on my body.
Because the biggest purveyor of fake news is the president in this country, because he does it a lot.
I'm just going to speak from the heart here. What we have witnessed was a total eclipse of the fact.
If you thought I went hard in 2019, watch 2020, baby. There's more to come. I'm a soldier. I'm ready to fight.
Talking about the cost of this parade and where there would be tanks, right? And would there be nuclear weapons?
Americans, are you mad as hell?
I wouldn't normally address this. As a journalist, I don't really like being the story here. Kanye West, entitled to his own opinion, but is not very bright and not very, when it comes, I'm talking about this issue, not overall. So we have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right to the right.
Words. I just want to...
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We had to postpone Grace's news because we had a chance to have Eric Trump on at the top of the show.
I gave him a little bit of grief about that, by the way.
Well, you'll get over it.
I said, "How dare you?" Just kidding. I'll always postpone.
How dare you?
I will always postpone for a member of the Trump family. Okay, but guys, it is time for Grace's news, and I have a lot of news to get to, Howie. You almost stole off the printer from me because you thought
it's a good story.
You thought it was very amusing. California
Infuriating
family.
is more like it.
California family says Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom used their burnt home for photo op.
It was the least they could do for Kamala.
A family in Fresno County, California, is upset that vice presidential nominee Senator Kamala Harris, or presidential nominee, depending on who you're following, trespassed on their property to use their burnt home as a photo op. They trespassed. Harris visited California on Wednesday to survey damage. Well, she really traveled there to trespass on someone's property. You don't survey damage on someone else's property. From one of the fires that raged in California.
She's only the former DA of San Francisco and the Attorney General of the state, so perhaps she didn't understand the trespassing laws. It's very complicated.
Or maybe
like
she
the
took
Uniform Commercial Code.
She took it literally and she thought she was there as a surveyor.
Harris commented on the home's condition, saying, "Everything is gone except the chimney. Those chimneys, they remind me. When you look at a neighborhood that's been wiped out, those chimneys remind me of tombstones." Harris also tweeted out an image of herself on the family's property.
I knew a little girl once who had a chimney. You know what? That little girl was me.
Did she take a bus to visit the chimneys?
And the other thing that I noticed was there was a lot of pictures, obviously, of her going to California, and she was in Timberland boots. Mm-hmm. And there were two articles someone posted from Yahoo, and one of them was Kamala in the boots saying, Kamala's bringing Timberland boots back into fashion. And then the other picture was Melania when she wore Timberland boots to a similar situation to survey damage from a natural disaster. And it said something like, "This isn't a photo shoot, Melania.
How dare you?
This isn't a fashion show." These people have no self-awareness. They don't understand that we can go back and pull this stuff up.
Has Melania made the cover of a single
No.
fashion magazine?
Maybe like the Trump magazine that they give out at their resort, but I don't think so.
Do they understand that probably close to half of the people who used to read fashion magazines are Trump Republican voters? And that they're kind of disturbed by the fact that it's now like reading the Socialist Workers' Party, most of these magazines?
It really is. But that's the other thing is they don't even show her a lot in the news. They don't tend to show her. And I think it's because she always looks so gorgeous. They don't want to put her on the TV because I follow Instagram accounts that are, meant to show you Melania's daily fashion. And she always looks stunning, but you never see any of these outfits because they never show her on the nightly newscast. It's not right as someone who loves fashion. Howie, you mentioned this in the first hour. CNN to host first drive-in town hall with Joe Biden tonight.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
A drive-in
Taylor,
Town hall. I thought that Dr. Jill and Hunter took away his keys long ago.
Well, it doesn't say he'll. I don't think he'll be driving.
I hope not.
He'll be in front.
I want to get home before he's driving. I don't care where he's driving on the North American continent.
The network is calling this the latest adaptation to campaigning during the coronavirus pandemic.
No, I think they're calling it. In reality, it's the latest in-kind contribution to the campaign.
I have a question.
Yes.
If Kamala joins him, is it a creature double feature?
Ooh, shady. 35 cars will file into the parking lot where a stage and monitors have been set up, and audience members and cars will be spaced out to comply with social distancing guidelines.
He's spaced out, too.
You think there's going to be any pickup trucks?
No pickup trucks.
No Trump bumper stickers in that lot.
No shotgun racks in the back window either.
The town halls for me are almost more infuriating than just the one-on-ones or even the press conferences, because they try to frame them like these are all undecided voters. Yeah. And it's such BS. I mean, the people get out there and you can tell by the way they look at Donald Trump that they hate him. And then they get out there for Joe Biden and they pull out their script and say, I was told to read.
Rush did a good comparison between the Trump town hall on ABC, where all these people are just basically yelling questions at it. I'm an undecided voter, and you're terrible. Yeah. Orange man bad. And then you have Biden with reporters who are just asking him these slobbering questions. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Aren't you wonderful? And your plugs look fantastic today.
It reminds me of what the reporters or the journalists when they're interviewing Joe Biden and they show like Jake Tapper off to the side. They show a shot of him looking at Joe Biden. It looks like parents watching their kids in one of those dance recitals where they're like this. Good job. Yes. You're doing so good. I'm so proud of you. Yes.
What are the chances that Joe Biden tries to make some joke that, I remember the last time I was in a drive-in, and he goes off on some very inappropriate tangent about Rita Hayworth.
Right. Right. Like it's going to be a scene from Grease or something. I know. It's just wild. But speaking of Joe Biden.
Every time I saw Sophia Loren up there on the screen.
We can likely push Biden in a more progressive direction. This is from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So she is telling people far left.
This was pretty interesting that she gave an interview. I don't even know if she knew who she was giving it to. She gave it to justthenews.com. That's John Solomon. Yeah. And John Solomon is a guy who they tried to cancel him basically because he was doing such a job on the Obamagate scandals. They kind of ran him out of thehill.com.
Oh yeah, he deserved a Profiles in Courage for his work, right. But he's not going to get one.
No, of course, and he's not going to get a Pulitzer Prize either.
So who do you think set her up with this interview?
I think they just knew that the door she walks out of in the at night, and they just staked it out.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, so she said
she was rushing to get home to let her French bulldog puppy out because she's such a revolutionary. You know, all revolutionaries have French bulldogs.
Oh, let's play the cut. This is cut 11.
You know, I think overall, we can likely push Vice President Biden in a more progressive direction across policy issues. I think foreign policy is an enormous area where we can improve. Immigration is another one. Criminal justice is another area.
I can assure you, AOC, you can push him in any direction. You don't have to think about it. He's going to go for whatever you say.
Yeah, and the criminal justice, that's a winning issue for the Democrats right now. Let's get rid of bail in every state, not just New York. Let's not just stop prosecuting people who steal less than $980 worth of merchandise in California. Let's just do it across the board.
And I wonder, though, if any Democrats like Nancy Pelosi, if they get frustrated when these radical left, this squad and this part of the party keeps saying, oh, don't worry, guys, we're going to be able to push him as far left. They want the moderates. That was like his whole appeal to the undecided voters, was that he wasn't going to go with what they're saying. But they can't help themselves. Even Bernie Sanders said it a couple weeks ago.
I think Schumer and Pelosi, and if Biden was still all there, they would be saying the quote from Louis XIV, After me, the deluge. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's over for them.
Yeah.
They've officially let them take over.
Yeah, the same thing's happening in state legislatures too, like here in Massachusetts. You know, I mean, every time there's more of these, what used to be called normal Democrats are getting knocked off in primaries, just like Lipinski got knocked off in Chicago by he was the last pro-life Democrat in Congress, gone. You know, Elliot Engel, pro-Israel in the Bronx, gone.
Well, even on a city scale, I mean, Marty Walsh.
Yeah,
that's a perfect example.
Right, Marty Walsh in Boston. He's now being sized up for a headshot by a woke warrior from Chicago.
It's absolutely insane, guys. I wanted to let everyone know that Grace's News is brought to you by Toyota of Portsmouth. So I talk about Toyota of Portsmouth all the time, but today I wanted to tell people something else. There is this thing called dealer fear. And what it is people are afraid to go to a dealership because they're afraid they're going to be pushed into something, whether it's buying a car that's too expensive or even leasing a car that they can't pay the monthly payments for. This is not going to happen to you at Toyota of Portsmouth. So I went in, Howie, with the mindset of, I'd really love a sunroof and leather seats and all this stuff, but it's going to cost way too much for me monthly. Turns out that you can actually get that nowadays, and it doesn't really add on that much per month. But they break it down for you so that whatever you want, they'll be honest with you. They'll say, this is what you should get for what you want to pay for the month. And that's what I want people to know, is that if you go in there, it's the experience that you're going to enjoy. The people are very nice. It's dog friendly. It's very clean. So check them out. It's Toyota of Portsmouth, or you can go online, toyotaofportsmouth.com, the house of value.
If you're thinking about replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they're gone from carpets and padding for good. You can use it in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's green, so it's safe for family and pets. It was the go-to cleaner for when Mr. Gooner had an accident, as my older pug so often did. Before you purchase new carpeting, you must try Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner, and it's not just for pet stains, it's a disinfectant that kills viruses. It's also great for kitchens, garages, grease stains, wheels, tires, and more. Save yourself the trouble of going to the store and seeing your favorite cleaner sold out yet again. Genesis 950 is made in America, and as we like to say, buy American, support America. Order a gallon direct at genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than a $10 value in savings, including free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1 gallon purchase of Genesis 950. Go to genesis950.com. Enter code Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
A nightmare to liberals everywhere. He's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Century House in Peabody. You can dine in and savor their famous prime rib or visit their Epicurean shop and take home my favorite steak tips and tapioca pudding. Order online at centuryhousepeabody.com. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about the
This is Jeff in Woodstock, Connecticut.
This is Laura Benner in South Burlington, Vermont.
This is Jimmy Mack in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and this is The Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. Back with Grace's news a little later than usual today. What else have you got, Grace?
Okay, so this is a story that I asked for specific permission to read because it involves two things Howie does not care about: pop culture and award shows. But, Father Carr, special dispensation. Thank you. So we shall read. Fans fume over Carrie Underwood Thomas Rhett's 2020 ACM Entertainer of the Year tie. So this is the big award at the ACMs. It's Entertainer of the Year, and it really means best all around of the year as far as concerts, shows, songs, album.
Didn't they get the memo that a tie is like kissing your sister?
People are really mad because I don't know if they felt like they had to pick a woman and a man and make it fair, but everyone was tweeting about it and they were saying this is the perfect example of everyone gets a trophy. You can't decide a winner at an award show.
I guess they figured their ratings weren't low enough.
I'll be very curious to see the ratings because everyone was doing the typical get up and speak in front of no one.
Are just ratings death, though, aren't they? Haven't they? They've just been going down, down, down.
Oh, so bad. But where are we at where we can't pick a winner? That is so pathetic to me. People are not happy, needless to say. In other news, Europe sees alarming rates of transmission of COVID-19. WHO warns. If you trust the WHO, I mean.
Yeah, I love the WHO.
Yeah, I like Quadrophenia was a good album. Yeah. Hope I die before I get old. Keith Moon did, their drummer.
I don't know what they're doing giving advice on virology,
but Europe is again seeing alarming rates of transmission of the coronavirus. A wake-up call.
Is this Europe or Nashville?
A wake-up call to avoid quarantine fatigue.
A wake-up call. How is Donald Trump going to lose votes in Europe with a lockdown? I mean, what's the point of locking down Europe? If it's not going to cost Donald Trump votes, what is the purpose of this?
Well, I know Trump says this a lot and he gets made fun of, but it is true. We are constantly being told that the United States is not handling this well and that we're the worst and, we have so many cases. We have so many cases because we have so many tests. It's what our governor, Charlie Parker, brags about on almost a daily basis. we hit the 1 million mark, the 2 million mark. So, of course, if you test more people, you're going to get more
and
cases.
Everybody comes back negative. And the people who test positive don't get sick.
Right.
But it's very impressive, though. We've got 3 million people. Nothing's happened, but we've tested 3 million people.
Right.
And we've shut down the state, and we have the highest unemployment rate in the nation.
So I kept seeing all of these things on the internet where it said, oh, Italy's already, they're done with the coronavirus. So-and-so's done with the coronavirus. All these different countries, as if we're so bad.
I'm done with the coronavirus.
Well, yeah, we're done with it. Yeah. But I just mean the news media is obsessed. So obviously, and then people say, well, what are they doing differently than us? They just don't have a news media that wants us to go on until November 3rd. That's the difference.
Yeah. I know. And
I'd imagine their hospitals aren't counting every single death as a COVID death either.
Right.
Yeah. They're not like dying for the financial help if they mark everything as COVID.
Right. The motorcycle fatality of a 21-year-old in Orlando, the guy in Colorado who had a 0.55 blood alcohol content. Ted Kennedy never reached that level. And it goes down as a COVID death.
And it's just crazy because we have such fatigue from this coronavirus. I just don't understand. I understand wanting Joe Biden to win, but when you see how you walk by, I took a walk this morning, and you see the elementary schools and all these little kids waiting to go into school with the masks on. It seems to me like, when do you guys put the kids, not to sound like Nancy Pelosi, the children, but when does that matter? Like, when are we going to stop ruining everyone's lives so that you can get your guy in?
I don't know about the other states, but in Massachusetts, the death toll among those under 20 remains 0. Not a single person under the age of 20 has died in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and yet large numbers of the schools remain shut down. High school sports remain shut down. It's absurd.
It's a shame.
I'm going to quote now from federal judge William Stickman IV. This is in Pennsylvania. This is the Trump appointee. We've talked about this a little bit, but his decision was great. The liberties protected by the Constitution are not fair weather freedoms in place when times are good, but able to be cast aside in times of trouble. That is, I mean, that's so simple and yet so profound.
Right. And that's what, when this originally started, I think it was Jared who said to me, the Democrats are trying to program us to feel selfish for wanting our rights. It was when they were making fun of people for protesting the shutdowns. They were saying, oh, you have to go to Fuddruckers. Oh, you have to go here. That's why. Oh, it's so important to you to go to Chili's tonight. And they were making people feel like losers for standing up for what are their constitutional rights.
Right. And he cited the abuse of the First Amendment. That's, shutting down the churches, Governor Wolf. But he also cited violations of the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law, because they were making decisions over which businesses could open and which businesses could close. And he said,
they were picking the winners and the losers.
Right. By closing, quote, non-life-sustaining businesses, Judge Stickman wrote, the state was determining who could work and who could not, who could earn a paycheck and who would be unemployed, and for some, which businesses would live and which would die. Nobody has the right to do that to anybody else, especially under circumstances that are not particularly life-threatening to the vast majority of the people. And as Stickman also pointed out, they did nothing like this in 1918 when the death rates were astronomical.
And then all the while this is happening, while they're picking winners and losers and telling you what you can't do, don't worry, Nancy Pelosi's hair is looking great. She's still got those highlights and that fresh cut, looking like a superstar.
Governor Wolf said no public gatherings this summer of over 25 people indoors or 250 outdoors, yet as many as 20,000 attendees were allowed to attend an auto show.
Hey, Howie, I see you got a haircut again.
Yes, I did, Grace. It looks good, doesn't it?
It definitely looks better than that haircut you got a few years ago before you met the president. Remember that bad buzz cut, Howie?
Geez, you love bringing that up, don't you?
Well, I just think that your bad haircut was a true testament to the wonderful work of Dr. Highness at DiStefano Hair Restoration. Because even though you looked crazy at the time, your hair grew back, and now you look as dapper as ever.
That's true. Dr. Highness did such a wonderful job on my hair. I love waking up every day not worrying about bald spots or a dreaded comb over. I now have a thick head of hair, and the best part of it is, it's my hair. Getting a DiStefano hair restoration was the best decision I ever made.
Well, besides hiring me, right, Howie?
Like I said, Grace, it was the best decision I ever made.
You heard him, guys. Go to hairman.com to get the hair you've always wanted. Get hair like Howie's. Go to DiStefano Hair Restoration. They have 5 locations in New England, and they are open for business. That's hairman.com. Brace yourself, guys. Here is 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. That they wanted their voices to be heard. I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they are not getting paid 163 Republicans voted no. Wisdom from the kitchen of the Willard Hotel, yes, ma'am. The president either doesn't know what he's talking about or doesn't want to know what he's talking about.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie. The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian. The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book. I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running
In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, if you know what I mean. Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. So what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
So let me be clear. I trust vaccines. I trust scientists, but I don't trust Donald Trump.
One of the problems is the way he's playing with politics. I'm worried if we do have a really good vaccine, people are going to be reluctant to take it.
You're saying don't trust the president. Are you confident that enough Americans will buy in?
Trust the scientists.
People should not be walking around with masks.
But some sort of mask-like facial covering should be a very regular part of how we prevent the spread of infection.
Who do you trust? Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
But we certainly have seen very active efforts by the Russians to influence our election in 2020, primarily to denigrate Vice President Biden.
We don't need their help.
I'm not the president. Not at all.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
This is from Senator Ed Markey. We must disarm these officers and every other police department in America of weapons of war and enact a nationwide ban on tear gas, rubber and plastic bullets, and beanbag rounds.
When are we going to start talking about disarming criminals? Everyone always says one thing: these were peaceful protesters. So I guess when you're throwing Molotov cocktails, railroad spikes, other projectiles, you're using green lasers, I guess that constitutes being peaceful.
Unchained and unstoppable.
These so-called Black Lives Matter people, now that as a proposition, who can quarrel with the proposition Black Lives Matter? But they're not interested in black lives. They're interested in props.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
We got to talk more about Ed Markey's tweet on Monday talking about disarming the police. I mean, he can't get around that tweet. You know, Biden can say, I didn't say defunding. I said reimagining or reallocating, one of those weasel words, you know. But it's right there in that tweet, disarming the police. And they're going after peaceful protesters. You know, like the guy who snuck up behind the guy walking down the sidewalk and shot him in the back of the head. That was another guy who was another stolen valor. I was in the military. Well, how come we can't find your name? You don't have a very common name either, and but you're not in the military. He was a drag racer on the interstate highway, though, kind of like Tim Murray, Crash Murray. This is the 9th anniversary of Tim Murray's resignation, I believe, or the midnight ride, something like that. This is an important day in Tim Murray's squalid history as a politician, the former lieutenant governor of Massachusetts.
You're one of the very few keeping score.
No, as a matter of fact, Taylor, I wasn't keeping score. I was just someone texted in about it, probably someone from Worcester who bumped into him in the Worcester City Council 25 years ago. He's paying more attention than me. Anyway, today's poll question. Oh, no, today it's time, excuse me, it's not time for the poll question. It's time for the chump line.
Loving that deplorable Donald Trump now has more Middle East peace deals than I've had heiresses. In fact, one could say he's more talented at being a diplomat than I am at being a gigolo. Can I get out of here, please?
John Forbes Kede. He's oh man, where is that? Let's play his cut. They just released a cut from him in 2016 after the election, and of course he's weeping the buckets and singing the blues about how terrible things are going to be now that the Orange Man bad has taken over. Cut 10.
There will be no separate peace between Israel and the Arab world. I want to make that very clear to all of you. I've heard several prominent politicians in Israel sometimes saying, well, the Arab world's in a different place now. We just have to reach out to them and we can work some things with the Arab world and we'll deal with the Palestinians. No, 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 and no. I can tell you that, reaffirmed even in the last week as I have talked to leaders of the Arab community. There will be no advance and separate peace with the Arab world without the Palestinian process and Palestinian peace. Everybody needs to understand that. That is a hard reality.
Can I get out of here, please?
That was a botched joke. And by the way, this tunnel will be a bargain.
Despacito, he'll snip your hair and give you the creepos. He's babbling and falling asleep, oh. He'll be a puppet for the squad banditos. Despacito.
Of all the vacant stares that he's had, when he held that phone up to the microphone and started looking around, slack-jawed, glassy-eyed, totally non-compos mentis. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week, watching New York students being arrested for going to class, San Francisco contemplating lowering the voting age to 16, and in Florida, after 13 years of madness, Opelika City has voted to repeal its ban on baggy pants. All is right with the world.
Yeah, Howie, I got a debate question for Kamala Harris. Senator, would you rather be seated next to Charlie Baker's son on an airplane, or would you rather have Joe Biden sniff your hair from the aisle in back of you?
The old expression comes to mind, 6 of one, half dozen of another. One man's mead is another man's Persian.
No wonder the left is looking so glum. They know their agenda smells like a bucket of chum. Their hopes are riding on old Plug Biden, whom they're trying to hide since his skull turned numb.
I like that limerick guy. I would have gone with bum, though, rather than numb. I thought that's where you were heading.
Howie, it's Joe Biden. I never made those trains late. Back in the day, they had to stop for coal and for water every 25 miles.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes he would miss the news because the Indians had cut down the telegraph wires, and the Pony Express couldn't get through.
If I'm going to go out for outdoor dining in late November, I'm going to make sure I'm far enough away from the curb so I don't get buried when the snowplow goes by.
Yeah. Think back on all those lovely Thanksgiving Day football games, when you had to put on an extra layer of clothes and the cold sleet was coming down. And the restaurants are going to be open for outdoor dining for a week after Thanksgiving. Isn't it great? This should really make everything just perfect.
We have to elect the Harris-Biden administration so that you can find out who is in it.
Yeah, I know that's another tough question for Joe Biden tonight at the town hall meeting. Is it the Harris-Biden ticket or the Biden-Harris ticket?
Nobody messed with the TPF. I miss those days.
The TPF, the Tactical Patrol Force in Boston. And I guess that's what Ed Markey wants to get back to, Like I said, the Tactical Patrol Force, they didn't have any rubber bullets. They didn't have no tear gas. They had jackboots, billy clubs. I think they had brass knuckles, too. They busted up a bar one time. Grace was asking me about it, the Rabbit Inn. I've told the story many times on Dorchester Street. They were throwing rocks at the police horses during busing, and then the people would run back into the Rabbit Inn. Finally, after about 2 or 3 days of that, one Saturday night, the TPF came back to the Rabbit Inn, and the first guy through the door put down an empty throw-down pistol so that they could claim they had a right to do what they were about to do, and they just took out their billy clubs and beat the crap out of everybody in the bar. Everybody in the bar. And after it was over, the Herald City desk got a call. Can you send somebody over here? The TPF just beat the crap out of all of us. We got ambulances coming. We want some pictures. That's a true story. You didn't think they were going to call the Globe, do you? Did you?
HCRN Howie, Joe Biden calling. Come on, man. I want y'all to gather around your record players tonight and tune into my town hall, live on the Dumont Network, moderated by Chet Huntley. I mean it.
It's going to be simulcast on radio by Mutual Broadcasting. We've got all the bases covered.
Hey, Howie, you know how you can tell a Biden supporter? Not by their bumper sticker, but by the mask they're wearing when they're driving.
That's the best Chump Line message of the day right there. You are so correct. Yes.
far be it from me to correct Eric Trump, but it's not prescription drugs. It's prescription jugs.
That's right. Yes, you are correct. You know, that previous caller, though, gives me an idea, though. You know, we talk about people wearing masks when they're in the cars. I'm going to start taking it. When I go for a walk on the weekends, I'm going to start taking out stacks of Honest Howie's carbon credits. And I'm going to try to sell them to everyone who's wearing a mask. If they'll buy into masks, that's my prime audience for Honest Howie's carbon credits.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
This just in, more Biden cuts are coming down the pike. Hang on. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number for the Chump Line. Press 2 for the Chump Line. You can leave your message anytime between the hours of 1 and 5 every weekday. And if you didn't hear your Chump Line message or you want to hear more Chump Line messages, it's 7 o'clock after the broadcast show goes off the air. You can always listen to Chop Chumps. We post them as a podcast wherever you get your Howie Carr Show podcast, Chop Chumps. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week, watching New York students being arrested for going to class, San Francisco contemplating lowering the voting age to 16, and in Florida, after 13 years of madness, Opelika City has voted to repeal its ban on baggy pants. All is right with the world.
Hey, Howie, you know how you can tell a Biden supporter? Not by their bumper sticker, but by the mask they're wearing when they're driving.
Hello, ma'am. Do you see this? This mask is also serves as Honest Howie's carbon credits. I will charge you only $1,000 for this mask and a certificate for Honest Howie's carbon credits. We will save a polar bear's life if you buy this mask. I'm Howie Carr.
He's suave, he's debonair, he's Howie Carr.
As the 2020 presidential campaigns heat up, there's plenty of talk about what's best for the country. The question is, at what cost and who will be impacted by any of the proposed ideas? If you're near retirement, you need to make sure your portfolio is ready for whatever happens. Call Kevin Frisbee at Frisbee & Associates for a no-cost, no-obligation analysis of your current plan. Call 800-989-9100. Kevin and his team will stress test your portfolio to discover any hidden fees. They can help develop a solid income plan that will make sure you never run out of money, despite what the politicians might have in mind. What about Social Security? When to claim is a huge decision. Kevin is there to create a plan that gives you options to maximize your benefits. Schedule your free consultation now. 800-989-9100. And catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday afternoon as he reviews the market. 800-989-9100. 800-989-9100.
And now, another minute of Madam Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't.
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
It's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
Remember the boy who cried wolf? I call this one the press that cried Hitler.
The president is not only racist, he's a bigot, but he is completely un-American. He is behaving like a fascist.
This is the president, once again, just thumping his chest and acting like he is the dictator that I think he wants to be.
President of the United States is a wannabe dictator with authoritarian tendencies.
This is exactly what authoritarians do. This is what strongmen do. This is what happens in authoritarian regimes.
We have a president with a strong authoritarian personality.
Like a dictator from another nation.
People that grew up in authoritarian regimes, seeing echoes of that in President Trump. He likes these figures like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un.
This is more the actions of a dictator.
He totally wants to be a dictator. It's so obvious.
Much like Hitler took over the Nazi Party, Trump has taken over the Republican Party.
He went full Hitler.
Trump is as destructive a person in this century as Hitler, Stalin, and Mao were in the last century.
It's simply a Stalinist phrase, for God's sake.
He sounded not like a president of the United States. He actually sounded like Saddam Hussein.
This is Chris in Rochester, Mass.
This is Mark in Nashville, New Hampshire.
This is Lorna in Truxtown, Pennsylvania. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. I give you a tease on the Joe Biden stuff. As somebody tweeted out, my man is really bringing his A game today. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff today, I'll tell you. Okay, today's poll question is brought to you by Genesis 950, sending warm thoughts to all the cars after Mr. Gooner's passing. Before you replace your carpets due to pet stains, try Genesis 950. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors from the carpet and padding. Order direct at genesis950.com. Put in code word Howie and get free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1-gallon purchase of Genesis 950. That's a $10 savings. Taylor, what is the poll question and what are the results thus far?
If President Trump wins re-election, will it be by a landslide or by a close margin?
A close margin, I fear, because of the mail-in ballot fraud.
70% say it'll be a landslide.
I hope they're right. 978 says, just stopped to get gas in New Hampshire. Woman at pump next to me wearing mask while pumping gas. Must be a Biden supporter. You know, what I may do, I may set up franchises for Honest Howie's carbon credits. So that, when you go to a gas station and you see someone pumping gas wearing a mask, you can just bring them out and say, ma'am, you look like someone who would love to save a polar bear's life on some ice floe up in the Arctic Circle. This is your opportunity. All right. 844-500-4242. Do we have them yet? Do we have them? Okay. Well, I think the first Biden cut is not quite as good. It's kind of weird, but the second one is really gold. Here it is.
So would you like to say a couple words?
Am I supposed to speak now, or is Karen supposed to speak? I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble here. Oh, it's me. Okay.
It's me. Okay. When do I get to eat my tapioca pudding? I thought I was going to get to have an extra one tonight when I'm on with CNN. Who am I going to be on with? Okay, here's the good one, though. Wait till you hear this one.
And put the future within our reach, where states that, look, whatever state of life you're in, you can make a difference.
Whatever state of life you're in. Let's hear that one again.
And put the future within our reach where states that, look, whatever state of life you're in, you can make a difference.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Even if you're in the city of Arizona, you can make a difference. Or in Keene, Vermont, whatever state you're in.
I can't stand how he keeps saying look when he loses his train of thought. It's like the guy at the party who you're trying to get away from in the conversation, and he keeps going, look, here's the thing. And you're just thinking,
well, it's also the thing. I noticed that today when I was transcribing it for my column. He got back to the thing. The thing. Only he wasn't talking about the Constitution. Okay. And we also have Nancy Pelosi today. This is better on video, actually, because her hands are gesticulating wildly and very, very woodenly, very clumsily. But the poll numbers must be so bad about this crime situation and these riots, because she felt like she had to go to the floor. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
The gentleman on the other side said, where are you when you're talking about violence, this or that? We're there. We support peaceful demonstrations. We participate in them. They are part of the essence of our democracy. That does not include looting, starting fires, or rioting. They should be prosecuted. That is lawlessness.
Tell that to Kamala Harris's staff. 13 of them gave money to the Minnesota Bail Fund to get the rioters out of prison, out of jail. I'm Howie Carr.
We here at Matthews Brothers have a saying that was originally coined our first day in business. A window without glass is just a big drafty hole in the wall. You might wonder why the brothers felt it necessary to state such an obvious fact. But remember, 166 years ago, there wasn't nearly as much to talk about when it came to windows as there is today. Back then, it was pretty much, you got your wood, you got your glass, you got your putty, you got your window. Back then, windows had two jobs: let the light in and keep everything else, wind, rain, bad guys, out. Nowadays, windows are called on to be much more than just glass holders. Today, our windows are more like transparent walls and are actually more thermally efficient than walls in homes built just 50 years ago. When you consider that a window is about 85% glass, you see why the brothers focused on it, even back then. Today, both our windows and our dual and tri-pane insulating glass units are all proudly made in Maine and are not supplied by some other manufacturer out there by the Great Divide. You can see the results of our relentless passion for making wicked awesome windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
This is going to sound immodest, but I'm obviously a top-tier candidate. I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly vice president will be great, but Mamala will always be the one that means the most. They said, well, do you think Trump is responsible for what happened? And I said, well, look, I mean, obviously he didn't pull the trigger, but he's certainly been tweeting out the ammunition. And that's why do gotta go. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories. You know what, I'm just gonna engage in real talk. I don't want to waste your time with anything else.
What is your favorite musical genre?
Oh, I mean, I'm hip hop and reggae and jazz. Those are some of my favorites.
Okay.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhale. I did inhale.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was.
There's a lot at stake here.
This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected.
Respect the virus.
I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again.
We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that.
I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player, and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned. The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who are part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
He's the co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, so what better time to play some of his greatest hits? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Frosty.
This is going to be a mission to save all of creation.
If you want to ignore that these changes are taking place and that they're having a dramatic impact, then you are in the right place.
Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock? Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock, Senator?
Well, here is the thing.
You don't. How long has your family been in Massachusetts?
We are new arrivals, and
Mr. President, American history was made last night. The Boston Patriots won the Super Bowl.
When the Second Amendment was written in order to maintain a well-regulated militia, they did not have in mind that people could purchase guns indiscriminately.
The president is acting like Pontius Pilate.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. But wait, there's more. I don't know how Joe Biden is going to be ready for the town hall tonight, the drive-in town hall on CNN, because he's. Is
he going to the Malden Twin Drive-In with Ed Markey?
Right. Or maybe the Saco Drive-In that I used to go to as a youth on Route 1. I think I'm sure Eric Trump and the bus drove by it today. It's used to be mosquitoes coming in like B-52s during the movies. Anyway, I don't know how much he's going to have left after this stellar performance this afternoon. And today he's talking about what he and Kamala Harris, who it's only a matter of time until he calls her mommy, what they're going to do in their administration. Here it is.
Together, we can work toward racial justice, economic injustice, climate change.
We're going to work towards racial justice, economic injustice, and climate change. We're going to work towards climate change. They're working on it on the West Coast. They put all those arsonists out there. They arrest them, and then they let them back out, and they give them a free can of gasoline. That's working on the climate change. All right. And this is Brennan. This is John Brennan, and he was on MSNBC, and he looks a little older than he used to, like he's aged in the last few weeks, even though they say he's not in a jam with the grand jury. But he's listen to what he says. He's predicting insurrection in the Justice Department. Insurrection. Listen to this.
And when I hear the things that William Barr is saying about professional prosecutors, I'm surprised there's not an insurrection in the Department of Justice. It is just appalling what he has said and how he has denigrated his own people.
Insurrection in the Justice Department. What sort of you already fomented insurrection against the United States Constitution when you were trying to frame Page and Papadopoulos and Michael Flynn and Donald J. Trump. So now you want another insurrection? Good Lord. 844-500-4242. Jacob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jacob. Nope. Mike, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mike.
Hello, Howie.
Hi.
I have a list of some of the potential nominations for Kamala Harris's cabinet, President Kamala Harris.
That's good. I'm glad you got it right, too, there, you know?
Yes, exactly. I thought maybe for Secretary of Agriculture, we'll have Davin, I'm sorry. Secretary of Defense, Ed Markey. Secretary of Education, Carly B. Health and Human Services, Governor Cuomo. He's good at Health Services.
Yeah, he should. He could also be director. They could also put him in charge of elder affairs if there is somebody in Health and Human Services. Nursing home czar, Andrew Cuomo. Assistant nursing home czar, Charlie Parker of Massachusetts. Thanks, Mike. Those are good suggestions. 844-500-4242. Russ, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Russ.
First of all, stupid Joe Biden, leaders don't ask to speak. Do you remember Ronald Reagan? I paid for these microphones.
Yes.
Okay, no one was telling him it was time for him to speak.
Yeah.
The only thing that Joe Biden is ready for is a mental institution. I'm sorry.
He's, people keep saying this is elder abuse to do this, but he's bringing it on himself, isn't he? I mean, ultimately, he could stop this at any moment if he wanted to. 844-500-4242. Let's hear some more about of what John Brennan says Bill Barr is saying that's going to cause an insurrection in the Justice Department. This is probably the sound cut he's referring to. Cut number one.
Name one successful organization or institution where the lowest level employees' decisions are deemed sacrosanct. They aren't. There aren't any. Letting the most junior members set the agenda might be a good philosophy for a Montessori preschool, but it is no way to run a federal agency.
Could he be referring to Kevin Kleinsmith? And the thing about that reference is that sort of says he's sort of inferring or implying that Kevin Kleinsmith didn't make that decision to falsify the email by himself. He was so junior that somebody had to tell him to do that. But the question is, what are they going to do about it? Ultimately, talk is cheap. We want to see people doing the perp walk. We want to see them having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and being tied up and having to fight, having to see that famous that heading at the top of the indictment, the United States of America versus John Brennan. That's what I want to see. The United States of America versus James Comey versus Andrew McCabe versus Lisa Page and Peter Strzok and all the rest of them. That's what I want. Peter, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Peter.
Howie, I was the first government witness at the last sedition trial in 1986 in Arkansas. The government was so spectacularly unsuccessful in its prosecution of 14 neo-Nazis that not only were they all acquitted, but after the trial, one of the defendants married one of the jurors.
One of the defendants? Good Lord.
Yes.
I know that William Kennedy Smith's lawyer married one of the jurors in that case, but a juror married a defendant. Wow. That's something else. What did these neo-Nazis done?
Well, they had actually conspired to overthrow the government. Several of them had also been convicted of murder and other crimes. They were in the trial in chains. But
wow.
The others were members of Aryan nations, the Ku Klux Klan, and one of them, Snell, was executed the night before the Oklahoma City bombing, and he had already cased the Murrah building there. They were connected to that.
Wow. I didn't know that. Who was prosecuting it? Mueller?
No.
You know, Mueller was one of the most inept prosecutors in Justice Department history. I've told a story before, but he was in charge. He set up this amazing super indictment of all the Hells Angels in California, you know, racketeering enterprise and all that stuff. And Sonny Barger, the legendary president of the Hells Angels, he was in some of those old cheap exploitation movies in the 60s and 70s. He'd be on the Harley riding at the top of the, you know, when they went over the Golden Gate Bridge on their way to loot and pillage some unsuspecting community up in the mountains. And so they brought him in as the defendant. And he took over, everybody says this, I've read this in several accounts, he took over the entire trial. He was running the courtroom, and he just ran Mueller right out of the building, practically out of the courthouse. And so when they had declared a total mistrial, Mueller had to drop the indictment against Sonny Barger because he was going to do the same thing. And that's these federal prosecutors, you know, they win 99.9% of their cases, but that's just because they have unlimited funds. You know, they're not all great. I mean, a lot of them are really good. The guys who put down Whitey Bulger, that was an excellent team, but they're not all good. And some of them are corrupt, like Barr was saying. I mean, look at Ted Stevens, the senator from Alaska, the longest-serving Republican senator ever. He served from the time I think Alaska became a state in 1959 until something like 2008, and then he was indicted. And they suppressed the exculpatory evidence, never turned it over. I mean, that's a serious offense. Thanks for the call, Peter. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. And this guy, Christopher Wray, they got to get rid of him as the FBI director. This is this stuff that he's saying now. He's talking about Russia. Well, let's listen to this cut. Cut number 7.
But we certainly have seen very active efforts by the Russians to influence our election in 2020 through what I would call more the malign foreign influence side of things. Social media, use of proxies, state media, online journals, et cetera, an effort to both sow divisiveness and discord. And I think the intelligence community has assessed this publicly, to primarily to denigrate Vice President Biden and what the Russians see as kind of an anti-Russian establishment. That's essentially what we're seeing in 2020.
I don't understand what did he mean by that last part? An anti-Russian establishment? Are you telling me that Vladimir Putin would rather have Donald Trump who's, you know, tried to get Western Europe to stop taking Russian natural gas, who has stood up to the Russians in Iran, knocked out the chief terrorist of their ally, Iran, who was killed several hundred Russian mercenaries in Syria? Would he prefer Putin to deal with Donald Trump or Uncle Joe Biden, who's campaigning for racial justice and economic injustice? That makes no sense. And what about the 2016 campaign? The Russians were being paid by Hillary Clinton's campaign to produce what became known as the dossier, right? The Russians were in bed with Hillary Clinton. Why? Because they'd already bribed her. They'd already given tens of millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation, and Bill had gotten the $500,000 for making a couple of speeches to some Russian bank. They knew they could do business with the Clintons. It was cash and carry, pay to play. Why would they want, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that goes for bribery like anything else. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm Super Air Purifier sold out in 2 minutes last week with our special. However, Eden Pure is continuing the Thunderstorm sale for Howie Carr Show listeners. Thunderstorm is a super compact, super powerful air purifier. You can hold it in your hand. You just plug it into your electrical outlet or into your car by USB cable to purify the air. The Thunderstorm Super Air Purifier works like a real thunderstorm. It quietly sends out super oxygen and negative ions to destroy 99.9% of all air pollution, including germs, allergens, and odors. We've been using it in our studio. Smells pretty good, huh? Smells very fresh, right? It quickly eliminates all odors, including cigarette and pet odors. That's why veterinarians and real estate agents are using it to get rid of odors that they could never remove before. Nothing's tougher to get rid of than tobacco odors, and the Thunderstorm gets rid of it. For protection from germs and to get rid of stubborn, lingering odors, you need the Thunderstorm. The Thunderstorm air purifier covers up to 400 feet, has no filters to replace, and runs super quiet. The small Thunderstorm is 100 times more powerful than the big, noisy air purifiers that cost over $700. The Thunderstorm is now on sale for just $97, but with Howie's big discount, it will be just $87. Use code word Howie at checkout. The more you buy, the more you save. EdenPure.com. Your problem room will no longer be a problem. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Route 1 Grill House in Saugus, located just before the Cactus. From their steak tips and ribs, the Route 1 Grill House has it all. Open now 7 days a week for both outdoor and indoor dining.
Whether it's global warming, global cooling, or climate change, one thing's for certain, the progressive moonbats can't stop talking about it.
We're talking about cities all over the world, major cities going underwater.
You know, I've spent a lot of time now with these young students, and they're scared. And a lot of young people are even suffering from, they're calling it extinction illness.
So that we can have people here who truly are committed to climate change, believe in climate change as though it's a religion, it's not a science.
A woman whose dreams of motherhood now taste bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
That curing cancer is going to be much more difficult when there's so much climate change and pollutants in the environment, because a lot of cancer is environmentally caused.
Recognizing and acknowledging the link between animal agriculture and climate change is a very bold move, making tonight plant-based.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of...
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can all see you are in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet. A little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
This is Karen from Billerica, Massachusetts.
This is Adrian in Swanton, Vermont.
This is Miss Susan up in Warner, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show if you'd like to join us. And in the next hour, we've got a couple more Wizard of Oz cuts from Karen Polito. We got she wasn't allowed to speak today, I don't think, at the press conference, but we await the governor's statement tomorrow when the unemployment numbers come out for the state. You think it'll be? Can he go 3 in a row? Can we have three in a row? Highest unemployment rate in the nation for 3 months in a row. We're only number 3 in the death rate, So we gotta work harder in that unemployment rate since we seem to be stuck behind New York and New Jersey in the death rate. Charlie, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Charlie.
Hey, Howie, how are you doing?
Good.
Did you what do you know about Senator Ron Johnson, Republican, Wisconsin?
Oh, well, all I know is what I read about him, and he says that he's going to have a report out in the next week or so from his committee that's going to show that Biden is even more unfit to be president than what already thought. That's all I know.
Listen to this one, Howie. This was in today's New York Post on page 15, right?
Yeah.
His committee is authorizing 36 subpoenas and interviews, including James Comey, John Brennan,
right,
James Clapper.
Well, didn't Lindsey Graham announce last night on Sean Hannity that he's going to be subpoenaing or that Comey is going to testify before him? But I mean, how excited can you be that when he testified before Congress, before the House committee a couple of years ago, he failed to recollect 240 times. He put Billy Bulger to shame. I mean, Billy Bulger only had a memory failure about 100 times. 240 times he gets away with saying, to the best of my recollection, I do not recall. I'd prefer to say I have no memory. I'd prefer to say I'm like Joe Biden. There's a wind tunnel between my ears. I don't know. I mean, if they could get away, Brennan lied to Congress under oath, got away with it. Clapper lied to Congress under oath and got away with it. And Comey said he couldn't remember 240 plus times and got away with it. So it's hard to think that they're really going to get anything out of these guys. And when they brought Stroke up there, remember him? Oh, I'd like to talk about that, but it's being investigated by the special counsel's office. He kept saying that over and over again. And this is a guy who knew that the special counsel's office had been set up to cover up the attempted coup that he had the insurance policy that he had set up. I mean, it's like there's no accountability for these people, and it drives me crazy. Drives everybody crazy. Thanks for the call, Charlie. That's why there's got to be a second term. But I'm not even that confident in a second term if they'd get to the bottom of all this. First thing to do is fire Christopher Wray. Ray, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Ray.
Hi, Howie. How are you today?
Good.
Good. I tell you, all my commendations to you and your staff there. You got a great show, and I've been listening for more years than I can count, I think. But you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
And keep it up. And I just wanted to say that I have some encouraging news for those of us Trump supporters. I'm up in Drake, Mass, and I just came by the Washington Savings Bank on Broadway, and there's a good-sized crowd with Trump banners and waving to people and vets in their vet regalia and so forth and saying Trump, Trump, Trump. And this is Drake. It's in Drake, Mass, and
Drake, it's kind of normal, though. It's right near the New Hampshire line. But anyway, it's good. There are a lot of signs of an active Trump campaign in all 50 states, or 57, is it? I'm Howie Carr. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
The coronavirus has made our lives unpredictable, but one thing you can always count on, the White House press corps will always ask President Trump ridiculous questions.
Question, Mr. President, should Americans have to decide between staying healthy and going back to work?
Hey, just checking on oil again today. I was wondering...
Oil?
Yeah.
Where is
it today? Well, I was wondering if you...
No, where's the price? Give me the price.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
How can you ask a question when you don't know the price?
I'll look it up for you.
Okay, let me do somebody else.
What do you say to the Americans who are scared, though? I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000 who are sick, millions, as you witnessed, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
Well, where did he come from, the Inspector General? What's his name?
It came from the Inspector General.
What's his name?
I don't know his name.
Some of your allies have been bashing these doctors. Would you tell them to cut it out?
Today you tweeted the invisible enemy will soon be in full retreat. Given it's invisible without widespread testing, how would you know?
And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
This is the Howie Carr Show live from Chappaquiddick at the Party House. 25 years after Chappaquiddick 1969. On WHDH, News Talk 850.
Another bad song from 1969. 742-0850. We're going to take some calls this segment if you want to get on board. If you have any questions for John Farrar, the scuba diver who saw Mary Jo Kopechne's body underwater. The number again, 742-0850. We're going to start talking about the incident and everyone's perceptions. John, let me just get this straight. So now, as far as your belief is that while Ted Kennedy was walking past all these houses back towards the Party House where we're broadcasting from now, Mary Jo was still alive.
That is correct.
And she would have been alive probably for about an hour, you think?
I think that's most reasonable, and if an hour, if not longer, that's correct.
If not. Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Correct. It was a big mistake when it was made. We thought we were told by the experts that crack, you never go back.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Give me a...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
So let me be clear. I trust vaccines. I trust scientists. But I don't trust Donald Trump.
One of the problems is the way he's playing with politics. I'm worried if we do have a really good vaccine, people are going to be reluctant to take it.
You're saying don't trust the president. Are you confident that enough Americans will buy in?
Trust the scientists.
People should not be walking around with masks.
But some sort of mask-like facial covering should be a very regular part
of how we prevent the spread of infection.
Who do you trust? Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
But we certainly have seen very active efforts by the Russians to influence our election in 2020 primarily to denigrate Vice President Biden.
We don't need their help. I'm not the president. Not at all.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
This is from Senator Ed Markey. We must disarm these officers and every other police department in America of weapons of war and enact a nationwide ban on tear gas, rubber and plastic bullets, and beanbag rounds.
When are we going to start talking about disarming criminals? Everyone always says one thing. These were peaceful protesters. So I guess when you're throwing Molotov cocktails, railroad spikes, other projectiles, you're using green lasers, I guess that constitutes being peaceful.
Unchained and unstoppable.
These so-called Black Lives Matter people, now that as a proposition, who can quarrel with the proposition Black Lives Matter? But they're not interested in black lives. They're interested in props.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. The Howie Carr Show. That's the toll-free number. And we're going to play some Charlie Parker cuts. We're going to play The Wizard of Oz. And I want to start out, though, with Ed Markey. And we've been talking about this. We had his opponent, Kevin O'Connor, on to talk about this. But this was one of the worst things that Markey's ever tweeted out. And he's tweeted out a lot of rotten stuff. But this is what he tweeted out on Monday. Pandering stuff more than rotten stuff. Just stupid stuff. I mean, this is just beyond ridiculous. Portland police routinely attack peaceful protesters with brute force. We must disarm these officers and every other police department in America of weapons of war. Oh, there's a cliche. And enact a nationwide ban on tear gas, rubber and plastic bullets, and beanbag rounds. Weapons of war, says the Daily Wire, is a term that is frequently used by the political left to describe semi-automatic firearms. I guess you could say that that lawyer, Mark McCloskey in St. Louis, he had a weapon of war. And you know what? It's a good thing he had it, because they were coming after him like it was a war. And they were telling him they were going to kill him, and they were going to kill his dog, and they were going to sleep in his bed.
What's permissible under Ed Markey's rules? Muskets? Bows and arrows?
Slingshots? Again, Ed Markey is old enough to remember the TPF, the Tactical Patrol Force. And let me tell you, they didn't care about the tear gas. Listen, but it goes on. Here's what Markey said in a statement. Our streets are not meant to be battlefields. Tell that to Antifa. Tell that to the looters and the rioters. Tell it to Black Lives Matter. And law enforcement should not be using weapons of war against protesters and other Americans. Law enforcement's use of tear gas also compounds the effects of structural racism. Oh, Lord, we're into that again. Because we know communities of color are already suffering disproportionately during this global respiratory pandemic. How much jive can he pack into one sentence? This global respiratory pandemic. It's time we stop using these potentially lethal weapons against our own people. So instead of using these potentially lethal weapons against our own people, I guess we're going to have to let them use definitely lethal weapons. Like live ammunition. Like billy clubs. How about saps? You know, you used to talk to the old TPF guys, and they would say, the only problem with us, people have to know how to use a sap. You say, what do you mean use a sap? I mean, well, you can't hit somebody on the head with a sap because it might kill them. What you have to use, it just fractures their skull, and they're gone. But what you use a sap for is you hit them on the arm or just and it hurts. It hurts, and pretty soon they can't even raise their arms. It's like when Rocky Marciano fought Jersey Joe Walcott, and Jersey Joe Walcott couldn't lift his arm for 2 weeks after he got pounded. But so you hit the body with the sap, and but these people coming out of the academy today, they don't know that. You give them a sap, people are going to get killed. Better to give them tear gas. And they think. They say tasers are bad. Tasers are bad. Well, you know what they used to use in the old days? They used electric cattle prods. Would you rather be hit with a taser or an electric cattle prod? And do you think it's fun to get hit with a water cannon? You think a water cannon can knock you down? Can you bump your head if you get knocked to the pavement with a water cannon? It's just that. But let's play the cut from the police chief in Detroit, and that guy has done a great job. It's amazing. Detroit has had very few of these problems because they just have said no. That's all you have to say is no, and arrest some of them. Set bail at $1 million. I guess they're reducing the bail today. We'll have more on that a little later. Bail modified for 9 protesters arrested following Lancaster protests after fatal police shooting. We'll read you more on that later. But this is the Detroit police chief responding to Fast Eddie Markey, Mr. Frosty. Cut 13.
When are we going to start talking about disarming criminals? I've been on the record. I support law-abiding citizens to be armed. But criminals? And so it's okay to attack police officers? And then everyone always says one thing. These were peaceful protesters. So I guess when you're throwing Molotov cocktails, railroad spikes, other projectiles, you're using green lasers, I guess that constitutes being peaceful. Yeah. We have never tried to stop folks from their right to free speech. We've been dealing with this for in excess of 100 days, 6 instances where we've had to use force because they were either attacking us or they resisted a lawful arrest. Enough is enough. And I got to tell you, shame on that city manager out there in California. If anybody needs to step down instead of the police chiefs, he needs to go.
He's on a paid leave. Also known as a vacation. They say he's not coming. One of the city councilors said he's not coming back. Yeah, but what does he care if he's not coming back? He's like Shelley Joseph, the indicted state judge. She's awaiting trial, quote unquote, and she's getting a paycheck. She's still making $184,694. And, there's the old saying, when seconds matter, police are minutes away. You have to have protection. It doesn't matter how fast the response time is at 911. You need the equalizer. That's why they call it the equalizer. And Ed Markey is insane to say something like that. I don't think he's quite as far gone as Joe Biden is, but I can't imagine that he would send out a tweet like that. All right, 844-500-4242. Many are feeling nervous about the stock market as the election draws closer. It's important now more than ever to look at where your money is and not put your head in the sand. Bill O'Reilly is here to help. He's hosting the Great American Wealth Project alongside best-selling financial author Alexander Green. Their goal, to show Americans what it takes to create a dream retirement. Go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Bill O'Reilly banner. You should feel secure about your portfolio, about your future. Watch Bill O'Reilly and Alexander Green as they discuss how you can achieve the American dream starting today. Just go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Bill O'Reilly banner. Start feeling secure about your life savings and investments today by watching O'Reilly's Great American Wealth Project. HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Bill O'Reilly banner. I'm Howie Carr.
He didn't come here to be made sport of. Howie Carr.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother." We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy'd out.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much, but no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that.
Hi, this is John in the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts.
This is Heather from Litchfield, Maine.
This is Kent, Wichita, Kansas, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Genesis 950, sending warm thoughts to all the cars after Mr. Gooner's passing. Before you replace your carpets due to pet stains, try Genesis 950. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors from the carpet and padding. Order direct at genesis950.com. Put in code word Howie and get free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1-gallon purchase of Genesis 950. That's a $10 savings. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
If President Trump wins re-election, will it be by a landslide or a close margin?
Close margin.
30% say close margin.
All right. This story about the bail reductions for the Lancaster rioters is pretty riotously funny, actually. These descriptions of these people. Catherine Patterson, female 20, her bail was reduced to $50,000 unsecured from $1 million. This is the woman who claimed she was a medic. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Remember the guy in Kenosha, Wisconsin, who was shot? Basically his arm is no good anymore. It was destroyed by the weapon of war, and he said, "I was a paramedic. That's why I had a gun in my hand and was pointing it at the teenager. I was a paramedic." Now this woman claims she was a medic. God, we'll read some more of these. Let me take a few calls. There's a bunch of them that are pretty funny. 844-500-4242. Some guy's 28, has to go back to living with his parents. I have a feeling he was living with his parents until he spent a couple of nights in jail. Now he's back with it. Now he's back in the basement. Back in the basement again. Steve, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Steve.
Howie, I don't think Ed Markey is insane or stupid. I mean, Ed Markey represents the Democratic Party as it stands today. They are radical revolutionaries who want to completely transform our society, and anything for the cause is worthwhile, even disorder and riots and a disarmed police departments.
But I mean, the question you got to ask yourself is, Steve, is Ed Markey on the level when he puts out crap like this, or is he just pandering and going along to the AOC base that saved his bacon in this recent election?
He'll believe anything that will get him ahead and keep him in his Senate seat. He sees where the Democratic Party's going.
Right.
He's 100% in with both feet.
He used to be pro-life, He was pro-life. And he was in the Army Reserves during Vietnam. I mean, so he's actually been in the military. I noticed he didn't mention his military service in the campaign. That probably would have been the kiss of death. Portland police routinely attack peaceful protesters with brute force. Every time I think about that, I think of that surveillance shot of the guy sneaking up behind the guy who's walking on the sidewalk and just putting the gun to his head and pulling the trigger. That was the peaceful protest. What is he talking about? And so what would have happened if a cop had approached this peaceful protester with the gun and tried to arrest him? The peaceful protester would have killed the cop. It's crazy. 844-500-4242. Howie, Ed Markey is one of AOC's geldings. Oh. Remember when they announced the new Green New Deal and all these serious, accomplished former men of the Congress and the Senate were standing right behind her? Yeah. Well, the thing was, remember when Mitch McConnell said, okay, this is so important. This is the fate of the planet at stake. Let's have a vote on it. And Mr. Sponsor took another present vote, just like his first vote in the Senate. Mr. President. Johnny, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Johnny.
Hi, Howie. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Howie, what? It made my mind run back. And we were saying about how the feds have so much resources they can beat you up.
Yes.
Because they have the resources. Well, my mind, I said to myself, and I'm not making this guy an angel, but I'll never ever forget how in the wild world of sports does the government turn around and fire John Gaudi's lawyer. And I'm going to say it again. I'm not a John Gotti fan. I'm not this and that. I'm a fan of our Constitution. Now, with their power, wouldn't you agree or disagree that they're breaking constitutional rights all day long? Right?
Well, I don't know if they broke any rights for John Gotti. I mean, they went after John Gotti, but John Gotti, he should have played it a little cooler. I mean, he was just too upfront. With the fireworks displays every 4th of July, and walking around the Dapper Dawn, and taking care of the guy who ran over his son, just getting rid of him. I mean, he was too flamboyant. He should have stayed undercover. I think since then they've had problems getting people to be the boss of all those crime families, because it's just like putting a target on your back. Wouldn't you just rather be the business agent for the International Brotherhood of the Cement Workers in Bensonhurst?
That's why Tony let Junior be the head boss, so he could actually run the operation, but the feds would go after Junior. Yeah. He was just a figurehead. And then once he started to figure that out, he got mad.
Right. And the thing is, when you're the boss, too, it's not just people want to take you out with a headshot. It's they want to rat you out, like Sammy the Bull. Sammy the Bull, he's still walking around, I think, or maybe he's locked up, but he's still alive. He's still breathing. I mean, God, he's dead. He's been dead for a long time. All right, Tony, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, Howie, thanks for taking my call. I don't think any way will Joe Biden debate Donald Trump. He's going to back out of it. There's no way he's going to debate him.
But he who else can make the the case for racial injustice and climate change. Let's hear it again. Joe Biden this afternoon. It's coming up. We've got so much Joe Biden stuff. Takes longer to call it up.
Together, we can work toward racial justice, economic injustice.
Oh, I'm sorry, got confused.
Climate change.
Economic injustice. Okay, racial justice, economic injustice, and climate change. Mr. Vice President, a follow-up question. Does climate change mean global warming or global cooling?
The fact is that I don't remember.
Okay, I'll read you a couple more here. This is from the Lancaster list of reprobates, bad actors. Taylor Interline, 20-year-old female. Her bond was reduced from $1 million to $50,000. Interline's attorney said she comes from a military family and has no prior convictions. She spent the summer working at the Mannheim Auto Auction. Okay, that's great. Joshua Wayne Montague, male, 23, from $1 million to $100,000 cash. Though Montague did receive a bail reduction, he will still have to post at least $10,000 to be released. He has a York address, York, PA, and had a concealed firearm on him when he was arrested. Montague shook his head no as Reinecker announced the new bail. I guess that means, no, I don't have $10,000 cash. Can you cut it to $10, Judge? A sawbuck? I can come up with that. Dylan Davis, male, 28, will be on house arrest in Ephrata, where he'll live with his parents. Loser! Davis was living in the city during the time of the protest with his fiancée. Oh, is he an aspiring rapper? I'm Howie Carr. Do you have no water, poor water quality, or low pressure? This is Howie Carr. Call the local water service experts, Skillings & Sons. They're ready with 24-hour service with no extra charge for after-hours calls and a fleet of trucks stocked with parts to make sure you're not without water. With over 50 years of experience, they take pride in having a family of employees that are the best in the business. For all things water, Skillings & Sons is there for you. SkillingsandSons.com.
When we had Fresh Rest Bedding on the show for a cheap Aster deal, they sold out fast, like in 10 minutes. But it makes sense. We were offering the amazing sheets for 50% off. Well, I've got good news. If you go to FreshRestBedding.com, they're dropping all their prices by 60% off through September. Take advantage of Fresh Rest Bedding that controls dust mites and pet dander. I use Fresh Rest Bedding, and it's cool, clean, and comfortable. This is a huge sale, guys. You don't want to miss it. Go to FreshRestBedding.com, FreshRestBedding.com.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall, anyway, you know what I mean. Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck, thank you very much.
All right, it's crisp.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of 2 poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I love those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7, 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for like maybe close to 10 years.
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas. I love it even more than The Godfather.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably chocolate ice cream, followed by vanilla ice cream, followed by coffee ice cream.
I'm the Vice President of the United States.
Love him or hate him, Joe Biden's here for the long haul. But we can't get enough of his gaffes. Here's the best of Uncle Joe speaking before he thinks.
We choose truth over facts.
When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television.
Make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Okay, all right. Look, well, you can frack with me later, okay?
The teachers are retired. I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
I can tell you, and I've known 8 presidents. 3 of the minimum. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me. Had over 40 kids shot at Kent State on a beautiful lawn. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? I said something that was not meant the way I said. I mean, what is it that I said wrong? I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Incidentally, we reached the mother of Dylan Davis, the protester who's now returned to his basement home, Adobe, tonight. And this is what Mrs. Davis had to say about her rioting son.
He's a good boy, a very good boy.
Jamal Sharif Newman, 24. His $1 million bail was reduced to $100,000. He was previously listed as homeless, but he lives in Lancaster. Newman was legally openly carrying a firearm during the protest, but had ditched the gun and run from police before being arrested. Well, if he was legally carrying it, why did he feel the need to ditch the gun? What did Jamal's mother say about him there, Taylor?
He's a good boy, a very good boy.
Talia Gessner, 18, $1 million bond released to $50,000.
Wait, can you spell that one, please?
Talia.
Spell it.
Talia.
Talia. Like Malia.
Talia. How do you know it's not Talia?
How do you know it is?
Could go either way.
Did you call Malia Melia?
No, I don't know what I call it.
If you're going to make fun of these people, do them the honor of getting their name right.
I'm not sure. I don't know what's right or not. Her attorney said she was attending
Just call her Tilapia.
She was attending her first protest. Oh, she's never attended a protest before. They caught me the first time I was driving drunk. This was my first burglary.
Is that what?
I never shoplifted before I got caught.
Is that what First Communion has come to now? It's like your first protest?
She was there to help people who were tear gassed. Oh.
Mother Talia Teresa.
Talia works for the SPCA in New York. Oh, isn't that nice? She recently moved into her own apartment. And this was the guy who was, one of the guys that was arrested was named Matthew Motterman. And he works for Lancaster Online, which is, I guess, what used to be the newspaper and is the website that provides news for Lancaster, PA. And he was arrested, a member of someone who works for the newspaper. And the president of the company said he attended the protest independent of his role with LNP. That's the name of it. And is not a journalist. How do they know he's not a journalist? Come on. 844-500-4242. Charlie Parker, as we await the Bureau of Labor Statistics report on the state unemployment rates coming out tomorrow at 10 a.m. He wanted to give himself one more pat on the back before those numbers come out. Cut 14.
Reasons why people in Massachusetts, for the most part, have been really solid citizens around face coverings and distancing and hand washing and playing by the rules and all the rest, is because the message that's been coming from our administration, the message that's been coming from local officials, the message that's been coming from folks in the public health and the medical community has been remarkably consistent.
What was going on? What was that back in the background? Is that the BS detector? Yeah, exactly. His definition of solid citizens is people who obey the rules that I lay down for them. Good Lord. Let's just keep going down these Baker cuts. Okay, this is on the message coming from players here. Okay, what players are these, Taylor? Do we know?
I'll pick a sport. He's a jock sniffer.
Okay, these are from the water polo team that appeared today. Okay, cut 15.
But generally speaking, the message coming from most of the players here who have the microphone has been remarkably consistent. And when the feds are moving in different directions, all we can really do here is try and make sure
that nobody's having any fun.
Continue to message what we believe to be the best and most appropriate ways to move forward on this. And again, on the vaccine, I've never seen, I've been in and around the healthcare world now for a long time. And I've never seen a group of companies come together and basically say, nobody's going anywhere until we're absolutely sure we're going to get this right.
What does that mean? Does that mean he's for? Was he against the vaccine before he was for the vaccine? Okay. And this is, again, more vaccination talk from Dr. Parker. Cut 16.
Well, look, we have religious exemptions in Massachusetts. We have medical exemptions. And people use them. But I certainly believe that the process around, part of the reason why I think the companies were so aggressive about speaking out about how they were going to move forward or not with respect to a vaccine associated with COVID is because they get how.
Taylor, that was a strange noise at the beginning of that. I haven't heard that noise since the last time I visited the men's room at Fenway Park. Can we hear the beginning of that again?
Well, look, we have religious exemptions in Massachusetts. We have medical exemptions. And people use them. But I certainly believe that
someone's using them right now.
Around, part of the reason why I think the companies were so aggressive about speaking out about how they were going to move forward or not with respect to a vaccine associated with COVID is because they get how important it's going to be for that to be viewed as not just effective but safe.
It's interesting where he's doing his press conferences
I fully
from.
Expect that for some
it's like Archie Bunker used to say,
that may not be
you
enough.
Don't buy beer, you just rent it.
Okay, they can wear a mask, they can socially distance.
That's enough. And of course, on the nursing homes. And so he has to, of course, insert himself into the nursing home conversation because his father is in a nursing home. Again, he didn't get the memo from Hollywood, golden era. Self-pity is not good box office. Cut 17.
I see my dad maybe 3 times, all outside, in the course of the past 5 months. I have a very personal appreciation for the difficulty associated with keeping seniors safe, and the challenges associated with that. I do think outdoor visitation has been a big win, based on the feedback that we've gotten, and we've been talking to folks in the industry.
He's been talking to folks again.
In the public health world about how to create further opportunities for engagement, recognizing you can't stay outdoors given.
How about the challenge of not wrecking the economy, Charlie? Have you thought anything about that challenge? About the challenge of maybe getting us off the top of this list of states with the worst unemployment rates? And you're so successful meeting the challenge of protecting the elderly people that you let the Holyoke nursing home be run by a hack who gave you $950 and $1,000 to pay to play Polito. And then 76 veterans died in your nursing home. The nursing homes you're supposed to be regulating, which is every nursing home in the Commonwealth, are responsible for the 65% of the deaths. 65% of the deaths are on you, Charlie. And you're giving yourself a pat on the back? Okay, so he's got one more order for the peons, for the subjects before they leave.
Get a flu shot before you leave.
Shut up. That's enough to make me not get a flu shot for the first time in 20 years, probably. All right. 844-500-4242. 860 says, how much dope does this moron smoke? I don't know. Did you see, by the way, did you see a story in the Globe the other day? They came to a remarkable conclusion that legal pot in this state costs more than just about any other state in the union. Go figure. Remember that? They legalized pot, the voters, not me, but a small majority of the voters legalized pot a few years back, and then they wouldn't allow weed to be sold until they pushed the sales tax on it up to 28%. No wonder the illegal dealers are still in business. It's just 978. Was Charlie Parker using the voice protection program of the Howie Carr show? That's from Paul, the UPS guy. No. I don't believe we've ever taken a call before from the men's room at Fenway Park. Okay, we're going to do the Wizard of Oz. We have 2 Wizard of Oz cuts left over from Karen Polito, and we have a new intro to the Wizard of Oz cuts. So get on board right now, and you can win a copy of What Really Happened, How Donald J. Trump Saved America from Hillary Clinton by Howie Carr. Get on board now, 844-500-4242. If you haven't tried Super Beets Soft Chews, you've been missing out. Super Beets Soft Chews combine non-GMO beets with a powerful new ingredient, grapeseed extract. When I have them, I'm out of them right now. Sorry, VIPs. But when I have them, I like to take 2 a day. That's what they recommend. It's like little pieces of candy. It comes in foil, but it doesn't have caffeine. It doesn't have the white sugar. It's good for you. It's good for your circulation. It's good for your blood pressure. I take one in the morning before I even get my first cup of coffee, and then I have one before I come on the show because it gives me a burst of energy. It's really great. The grapeseed extract used in Super Beets Soft Chews has been clinically shown to be 2 times as effective at supporting normal blood pressure as a healthy lifestyle alone. Better blood pressure means more energy the way nature intended without the jittery side effects of caffeine or stimulants. Now you can take just 2 delicious chews a day, anytime, anywhere, to get the blood pressure support you need and the energy you want. I started out with Super Beets powder, and that's great. That's a great product too, but you have to spoon it out into a glass and pour some water in, stir it up, drink it down, and then wash the spoon in the glass. It's a lot easier to and more convenient to use Super Beets Soft Chews. Just throw 2 in your pocket when you leave in the morning, and you're all set for the day. Super Beets Soft Chews. Do what I did and support your heart health with delicious Super Beets Chews. Get your Super Beets Chews today at superbeetsradio.com/Howie, and when you buy 2 bags, they'll throw in the third one for free. That's superbeatsradio.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Aviva Trattoria. From their famous chicken parm to their gluten-free menu, Aviva Trattoria has it all, with locations in Marlborough, Westford, Rentham, and Maynard. Stop in today or find them at avivatrattoria.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer! Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark. With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
Hi, this is Cindy from Osterville, Massachusetts.
This is Brett Rock from Dunstable, Massachusetts.
This is Amy in Lisbon Falls, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. When I had Eric Trump on earlier, I thought about asking him if he was going to go to Ken's place for dinner. But then I thought, I don't even know which way the bus is going. You know, he could have been heading south, and so I didn't ask him that. But Dave Wilcox just tweeted out that Eric Trump had dinner at Ken's place in Scarborough, Maine. If I'd have known he was going there, I would have said, be sure to get the batter dipped fried clams. You can't get them anywhere else, or you can't. Very few other places you can get them. But we're going to try to get Dave Wilcox on the line to tell us what happened. He looked like he was very happy to have Eric Trump there. That's great. I know Dave is a big Trump guy. If I can say that without getting him into trouble. And I'm looking at the VIPs from Portland. I take that back. I won't say anything. All right. Okay, time for the Wizard of Oz. We have a new...
The Wizard of Oz.
That's Karen Play Polito. She didn't say anything at the press conference today. I guess The Wizard of Oz, the new version, is going over big time because she's no longer allowed to speak in public. But we've still got a few more, and in a couple of weeks she'll come back out and make a fool out of herself. So here's how it works. We want to know how many times she said in these particular cuts that we're going to play for you. And the only clues I will give you is how long the cut is, and then I'll give you the countdown, and you have to tell how many times she said it. If you hear someone win ahead of you, stay on the line because we have two of them to get through here. On the first one, Karen Polito is going to speak for 24 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
This is an important commercial corridor, but it is in a floodplain. And the unpredictable nature of flooding is a challenge for businesses looking to invest in their properties to enhance the quality of their buildings or their physical attributes. And it also is a challenge for municipalities.
A floodplain. In addition to the virus, the homicide hornets, the bears at swimming pools in Franklin County, the mosquitoes. Is there any plague that we haven't faced? Freddie, how many times did she say it?
5.
Bruce, how many times did she say it? Bruce.
4.
Robert, how many times did she say it?
7.
Randy, how many times did she say it?
9.
I didn't think that one was this tough. Rambo, how many times did she say it?
Lucky 7?
Here's a hint. If somebody else has said 7 and the bell and the buzzer rang, don't come up with 7 again. Sean, you're next. How many times did she say it?
6.
You got it, Sean. You got it. All right, the VIPs. It's just like having an audience. It's like being on Jeopardy. Only Jeopardy doesn't have an audience anymore, does it? I forgot. All right. If you want to get on board, 844-500-4242. I think we have enough people on right now, so we'll do this next one. This is 32 seconds long. 32 seconds long. And 3, 2, 1.
Thank you in Fitchburg for organizing your thoughts, taking advantage of the program, putting your ideas on paper, applying to what is a very competitive process, and rising to the top. It's an honor and a pleasure to partner with you on this critical issue, and we look forward to the outcome of this grant and the work that you're doing in this neighborhood of your city. It is now my pleasure to recognize Secretary Thea Harides to come forward and talk more about the program.
That would be Climate Katie to you. Climate Katie. She's the one who got the governor to try to double the gasoline tax. Thank you, Climate Katie. Okay, Josh, how many times did she say it?
11.
Wow. That's very good, Josh. I was ready for a long bout on that one. Okay, so that's it for the Wizard of Oz. This go around. We'll have more as time goes on, I'm sure, but not.
The Wizard of Oz.
I never thought I would say that someone could make Jane Swift look like Margaret Thatcher. But that's what Karen Polito has been able to accomplish. She's really, really weak. And again, don't you like it? They run around the state. They've destroyed the economy of the state. And then they go around offering crumbs to the people who've been bankrupted.
I just wanted to remind you, Howie, that today was supposed to be the Big E.
And thanks for depressing me.
I'm sorry, the mail manager just called in and she said this is the first time in 20 years we're not there?
It is.
I wanted to send everyone out on a sad note. I'm trying to learn from Charlie Baker. Wah, wah.
God, does that suck? I wanted to have an eclair. I wanted to have a double cheeseburger and a deep-fried donut with marshmallows on top. I wanted Grace to be able to see the world's smallest horse and the world's largest pig. Oh, well. I'm Howie Carr. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work. Or, sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. But with Roman, it is easy to talk about it. With a real doctor who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. The doctor will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/Howie and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to tackle, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/Howie today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. That's GetRoman.com/Howie. GetRoman.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my